Mik'd Up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J Mitch. We got Jackie Boy.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good time. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys would come in and say,
oh, God.
So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in a headlock. And he's sitting there. Helmet. He's punching me in the stomach, like steady punching me.
Here, and there's everyone sitting around. Who here thinks Ovchinko can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's been with the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ovchinko can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I fucking saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the Spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled.
Whoa. What was that?
Time to start the show.
Why would I have that?
You had in a circus or something. What was that?
6'3", I'm late. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they're
all fatter than him.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
I mean, you're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello. Good evening. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today's Monday, February 27th. We have a jam-packed show for you today. It is me in studio with Lloyd in studio. Jay Mitch is here via video call. He is out of town. He is doing some housekeeping things that he needs to do in his now wife's former residence because they are moving here to the beautiful Red Stick. And we have a great show for you. LSU goes to Texas, goes to the Round Rock Classic, leaves there 2-1, wins the Round Rock Classic based off a run differential because Iowa was also 2-1. Iowa beat LSU. Someone would ask, well, how did LSU win over Iowa? It's because Iowa lost to Sam Houston, and margin of victory based off of those games, LSU comes out victorious. Dylan Cruz is the MVP, and he is co-SEC Player of the Week with our guy Jack Caglione. I think that's how you say his name. Florida, we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about the SEC throughout the show because he had a monster weekend. He's got 6 homers in 8 games. From Florida, I know you may not care about it because it's Florida. You should care about it because they're in the SEC, and that's who the Tigers are eventually going to have to play. Sevyn Banks apparently has had his name in the in the draft. From for a while. People didn't know. We know now. He is not coming back. He has entered the draft. Good luck to him. Women's basketball finishes the season with 1 loss. They are the number 2 seed in the SEC tournament. They get the double bye. First game is in the quarterfinals. And, obviously people were waiting for that rematch against South Carolina. Hopefully that happens in the SEC tournament. If not, look for it to happen in the NCAA tournament. We have Jay Johnson coming on the show at 7:30 p.m. But before he gets on the show, Ben McDonald's coming on at 6:15 to talk about the Round Rock Classic, talk a little bit about SEC baseball, and talk LSU baseball because he was there this weekend in Round Rock, Texas, to call the games for D1 Baseball. If you didn't subscribe to D1 Baseball to watch it, it's okay. We have the recap for you. I apparently subscribed to it twice, so I paid double for just that weekend, and I also paid again for the subscription for the year. So they got a lot of my business today, which is okay.
Start working for them.
Which is okay. It's okay. Staying in the SEC, staying with the baseball theme, Tennessee shortstop Maui Ahuna, is that how you say his last name? I will assume. Is cleared to play. He is the shortstop that transferred from Kansas, projected first-round pick. He was a guy that LSU was in on for a while. He ends up choosing to go to Tennessee. Tony Vitello has a self-imposed suspension because of tampering, alleged tampering. They are both back and available to play, I guess today. Not today. Maybe this week, midweek or weekend. They are back. They are ready to go. And LSU football, they are in the news again, but not for anything detrimental to the program. Hopefully not detrimental to the program. Bo Lowry, the director of sports medicine for LSU football, who they got from the Saints, who I thought was a slam dunk hire for them, which they obviously knew was a slam dunk hire. He is now leaving to go to the Denver Broncos. Bo Lowry is a good friend of mine, a good friend of Jared's. He was our trainer here in baseball when we were playing. He has been with the Saints for a really long time. The words that Sean Payton said about him whenever he announced that he was going to Denver says all you need to know. The words that Drew Brees talked about Bo Lowry tells you all you need to know. Congratulations to Bo. He is one of the best people that I've ever met. He's one of the best at his job. He deserves this opportunity. And obviously, I would imagine the Denver Broncos compensated him very generously to get him to leave LSU because the rumor is he turned down a lot more money to stay in New Orleans last year when he came here. Now he is moving to Denver. I think that shows the relationship that he has with Sean Payton. But before we get into that, we have 5 minutes to kind of BS and kind of talk about the weekend. Jay, you're out there in Dallas. Welcome to the show via, thank God we got the technology. Thank God we got all this working. And hopefully it works for the rest of the show. Welcome to the show, man. How was your weekend?
What's good? The weekend was good, man. We drove out here in Dallas Saturday morning-ish, got here, had some dinner and maybe a couple drinks with some friends Saturday night. Maybe a couple drinks, you know.
Little toddies, some libations.
And then Sunday, just chill, kind of licked the wounds, pressed the reset button, got back to today. Got to finish up getting everything done here and get back sometime this week.
Nice.
Well, Wednesday would be nice.
Yeah, I like that. I like to have you back.
We'll
obviously,
see.
look, family comes first. You got to take care of what you got to take care of. Yeah.
I can't control what, I don't really control what moving companies do, so I can't promise that, so we'll see.
Very good point. Lloyd, how was your weekend?
Excellent, sir. Excellent. What did I do this weekend?
I don't know. You tell me.
Nothing. I didn't do anything. Nothing. Not a
That's a
damn
good
thing.
weekend.
We had some family in town from A-Town, so
nice.
They did the we have one of my cousins is still in college, so they did the Fred's family weekend.
Oh, there you go.
I did not go. Did not participate.
Okay.
No way. You're lying. No way.
No, I didn't know that that's what they were here for. I thought they were just chilling, and then I come down Saturday night, and they're like, "Oh, we just got back from Fred's," and I was like, "That'd have been."
I like a nice little family weekend at Fred's.
It would have been nice to know. Family weekend, they put it all together. So
I don't think they wanted you to go. It sounds like
Lloyd dipped in there. He don't want to tell us. He dipped in there. Either that or they didn't tell him because
it sounds like they didn't want him to go.
Sounds like I mean.
Sounds like they didn't want Lloyd to be there.
They wanted smooth sailing. No, they wanted smooth sailing. So they say, "Hey, we got to keep this one out of here because it can turn real bad real quick."
No doubt. Did y'all watch the games this weekend? D1 baseball, or at least follow along with it?
Yes, I locked in a little bit to the the Sunday game a little bit, but I didn't get to watch too much. So I kind of followed through the box scores and stuff like that.
Yeah, I watched most of the games. I watched most of all of the games. I watched the first two in entirety, and then I watched the second one. I was a little late, and then by the time I turned it on, they kind of had a substantial lead, and I watched the rest of that. They faced their first little adversity through the course of the year. When they played Iowa. People will look at Iowa and say, "Oh, they lost to Sam Houston. They're not that good." Well, they played very bad that game. They ended up beating Kansas State and then, putting it on LSU a little bit. They pitched their ace against LSU. Brody Breck throws 101 miles an hour, was throwing a really hard slider. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, if you saw that they lost to Iowa, I don't care who Iowa does beat and or loses to the rest of the year. If that guy's throwing and his stuff is on, they got a chance to beat anyone in the country because that's what the game of baseball is.
Yeah,
and he's that good.
And I was talking to Jay, and we'll talk about it when he gets on the show. I want to talk to Ben McDonald about it. Big Ben McDonald about it because he's obviously was an elite pitcher, and he kind of looks at that, and he was a bigger guy, so he understands what it's like to kind of repeat your delivery and how inconsistent that can get sometimes. This guy's got electric stuff. He also walked 8 guys, so he was a little wild. He put a lot of guys on base, but he was good enough to pitch himself out of it, which is a testament to his stuff and how talented he is. Now, if he hones that in, I think he's one of the elite guys. If he can't figure out how to hone that in, then I think over time that's going to catch up with him. But I was talking to Jay a little bit today about it, and he said, he's extremely, extremely talented. He said, but he's not consistent enough to not walk. He's inconsistent enough to put guys on base, but more talented enough to pitch himself out of those issues. So pitch himself into trouble, and then pitch himself out of trouble at the same time. I think that when you face a guy like that, that's very hard for an offense to kind of get their rhythm because they don't really know. Like they're getting put on base, 8, 9 times without having to get a hit, and then this guy when he's in the zone, it's electric stuff. So it's a little bit hard when you have effectively Wild, and then he gets taken out. The lefty who was pretty good, I think he was low 90s. He threw a bunch of strikes, and it seems like the offense kind of got in that mindset of like, all right, this first guy was a little wild. We were getting walked, and then it was just hard to kind of like settle in. And sometimes you have that. I think it's good for the team to have a little adversity early on.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing about that guy is it'll be interesting to see what his future looks like because I would imagine a lot of that inconsistency has something to do with, one, maybe a little bit of the size, but two, the guy also plays football. So there's a little bit of time split. He's not full-time doing this. I think something like that you can kind of figure out, later down the line, especially for a pitcher. But, you said it right. When you have a guy like that on the mound who's throwing the way he is, one, his stuff is too electric to kind of like let him dictate what he wants to do. And so when he gets in counts where he kind of gets ahead, man, it's really hard to be able to kind of pick and choose what you want to do when you can't be aggressive to get something like that. And then they bring in a lefty right after who is a strike thrower, and it turns into it's really hard to turn in and kind of get out of that mindset and get more into an aggressive approach at the plate a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think it's good. I think that loss is good for the team. I think it's going to be better for them. They responded great on Sunday. Scored a whole bunch of runs, put the game out of reach early on in the game, and allowed a lot of pitchers to get a lot of work. So we have a lot to talk about with Jay, obviously, and with Ben when he comes on to be able to get his opinion on that. He is in the on-deck circle. We're going to take a 30-second break, get him situated, making sure this technology of the video calls of Dallas and wherever Ben is, Denham Springs, or I don't know where he's at. We're going to ask him where he's at. I would imagine he's back home after a long weekend. But we're going to take a minute break, get this situated. We'll be right back. You're watching Mik'd Up. At FCO Development.
Okay.
There we go. Let's give them a shout out, right? I didn't give the read to it. FCO Development's a civil construction. You go ahead and read it, Lloyd.
I'm putting together the Ask Mikey and Mitch.
FCO Development is a civil construction company that specializes in new multifamily construction. They specialize in site drainage, site utilities, earthworks, site clearing, house pads, ponds, demo work, hurricane cleanup. So basically anything that is moving dirt, getting a site ready to be built on vertically, has nothing to do with mathematics. Like Lloyd tried to say on Monday, he said he wasn't very sure. He didn't know what was happening with. He's not good at math, but
I'm not good at math.
Yeah, but math doesn't. You don't need math. I'm sure maybe there's some sort of thing, but
if Tyler works there,
you're not doing any equations or anything like that.
Quadratic formula.
Yeah, you're not doing the Pythagorean theorem.
I can hear you.
Like that. And if you're interested, right, these guys are based out of Lafayette. They do a lot of work.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Very experienced in the industry. They've been doing it for their entire lives. And if you're interested and need any help or you want somebody to do a project for you, call Tyler today at 318-229-5585. Again, the number is 318-229-5585. They are based out of Lafayette, but they will travel. They will come to you, and they're very good people, they're upstanding people, and they do a very good job. So our friends at FCO Development.
Yeah, he's breaking up on my end.
Is brought to you by our friends at FCO Development. Are you gonna have a Heineken Silver for the game, maybe?
I kind of want one now.
You gonna shotgun another one?
You want another? I don't know if you should shotgun because we still had that one last time.
I don't know. I feel like you gotta redeem yourself.
So if you have a drink, I don't think you should shotgun.
The way it went,
I'll enjoy this
I think
one.
you should chug it, but maybe not shotgun it.
the way it went last time, it's
Yeah, I could do. I mean, I
Can't
could
sip
do anything. I know. All right, fuck it.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Go for it. There.
That's much better.
1, 2,
Open it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
5, 6, 7, 8,
Okay.
9,
Okay. So now it's starting to drip. Now you're struggling a little bit.
12,
It's pretty good.
13. Not bad.
I'll give you a
Not
13.
bad.
12 and a half seconds there. How was it? Was it good?
Delicious. You can't do that
With a regular one.
with a regular one.
Right.
You can only do that with the silver.
The silver, why? Because the silver's lighter. It's got
Lighter.
95 calories. It's pretty crisp.
I res-
That wasn't even cold. I know you don't necessarily need a cold beer. That was room temp.
That's
But-
the
I respect
fraternity
how
days to
quickly
be-
you turned around and gave me a cool sentence. That was quick. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
No
Officer
doubt.
on
Respect
time.
that.
You've been
Walk a
around
straight
before.
line, kid.
Yeah.
You've been around before, but
It's just breakfast.
It's a very good beer. It's a
is.
very light beer. It's something that you can
Easy to drink.
Easy to drink.
Easy to pour.
Yeah. But it's something that, I think it should be in the rotation at tailgates, especially with LSU baseball coming up. We'll get into some of the LSU baseball conversation. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We were just talking about, or trying to recap a little bit of the Round Rock Classic. Big Ben McDonald, who was calling the game.
Struggle with that one.
I did. I struggle with that. So it's a little alliteration there that I was having a little issue with. But he's been so kind to grace us with his presence. Ben, appreciate you for coming on the show, man. Thank you.
Oh, anytime. Always something.
So you were there. You were calling the game, right? What did you see?
Yes, I called.
What did you see from the teams there? What did you see from LSU in particular? And I want to get your opinion. I'm gonna get this later, but Iowa had a big guy there that kind of gave LSU fits. But I want to get into that a little bit later on. What did you see from the teams there, and especially LSU?
Well, I tell you, Sam Houston State can hit. Like LSU shut them down yesterday. Games. I think they're going to be a turn 7. Trevor, Donald, as at their offense down 17. I always feel or got a whole lot. I don't know how. I thought was a pretty accurate Saturday. The coach was Roger Cooper turned it up a notch.
Yeah, so you talked about Riley Cooper kind of not really getting off to a good start. What did you see? What do you think part of the reason was that he didn't really, was he not locating? I watched a little bit, obviously, but when you watch it on the stream or on TV, it looks a little bit different than when you see it on person. What was part of, you think the hiccup with him?
Well, look, he hit better than what he showed. Like, I'll take you back to the first out 1-2 pitch. Call strike. Oh.
You want me to rejoin?
Yeah,
with the headphones?
Ben, we have a connection issue on our side. Can we call you right back? Can we send you another link and call you right back? I'm sorry, it's on our side, I think.
Yeah, prop those headphones in.
All right. Sorry about that. We'll get Ben right back on here.
This is we're doing a lot of shuffling over here.
Yeah, we're working.
First time we've ever done multiple video calls.
We're working.
But usually it's
Can you disconnect them and send another one?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We'll get in there. Sorry about that. It's part of the technology. Listen, we're trying new stuff out. We're trying to stretch our abilities here, technology-wise, and I'm glad Ben's been patient with us. It's probably on our side, but we're gonna work on it. I mean, it's the connections. You just don't
I'm
know.
not going to be the one to blame Ben McDonald. He's a legend.
He'll stomp on you.
Yeah, he would.
He's a lot bigger than you.
You see his haircut and you see my haircut. Who do you think's going to win in a fight?
Well, I think if you take the haircut, I think the stature. If you look at the statures of both of
Big tree fall hard.
Well, I don't think you can
I would usually go with the stature too.
I don't think the haircut has anything to do with it.
Well, it just seems like he's been. Looks like he was in. What's the? Oh, here he is. He back? We good?
Good. I can hear you.
All right. We'll see if this works.
All right, merge them all together.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Sorry about that. Okay, so you're talking about Riley Cooper. You're talking about the numbers didn't look as bad, or he didn't look as bad as the numbers showed. Kind of go into detail about what you saw and what kind of went wrong.
Well, we go back to the first inning. I thought he had the guy struck out. He called and 2 out, and you get a home run. Riley Cooper. Get out. It goes I have no problem with that. I don't.
Yeah, so obviously offense against Iowa, I want to transfer to the offensive side of the ball. Obviously that game, it wasn't just Riley Cooper, it wasn't just the pitching. The offense didn't really get going, right? You had Brody Bretkin out there. He was throwing 100 miles an hour with a hard slider. He had some control issues, and I think as a hitter, at least me being a hitter, those guys are the hardest to face. So you have a guy who throws with electric stuff, and you don't know if it's going to go at your head or if it's going to be 99 miles an hour away. It's hard to be aggressive. So he put guys on base, but he's talented enough to pitch out of the issues. What did you see from him, and how difficult is it when you're that big and you're that athletic to be able to repeat your delivery and make sure that you're consistent with it?
Yeah, look up in the dictionary. There's a picture, right? Correct, effective foul, right? I mean, 8 walks, 6 punch out, throwing 100, not a comfortable at all. I did feel I had plenty. Obviously, LSU was that ball game. Iowa. They had Breck on the ropes with a big Breck threw a lot of sliders. Even though it was 100. I really felt there were 4 swing decisions in that game. I can remember walk to get a 2-0 back, ball and 2-0 count after he walked to. I think I really felt like
Ben, join us one more time with your headphones in, if you don't mind. Pop those headphones in and see if that works. We're just catching a little bit of delay on this end, so disconnect one more time or see if you can pop those things in and see if that works. See this man working.
Technology. I appreciate his patience. Tough.
Of course. No, we had the same thing go on whenever we had, there he is. All right, give me a go. 1 second. We had the same thing happen with Hold the Rope. It's something on the connection. I don't know where he lives, but
maybe in the woods somewhere.
Maybe in the sticks.
Maybe in the woods somewhere.
So I'm waiting for him to hop back in. Jared Mitchell, anytime you want to hop in, that would be great.
Oh, I'm in.
I was trying to do a little lip reading. I got a little bit from it.
Yeah, I saw you making your own moves there. But I'm waiting for him to hop back in. We'll see what we can do.
Sometimes you can't control the connection issues.
No, like I said, this is don't want to blame Ben, but
If we have to do it, and I mean, whatever. I mean, we'll figure it out, I guess. I don't know.
It's not
I don't know what I'm
because
saying.
we have multiple connections, right? People on at the same time.
No, we did. We tested it earlier today.
Right. Well,
I mean, y'all can talk about
the insight. The insight was good. I mean, he's great at it. Obviously, he was there. He saw the performances and he saw the matchups there in person, which I think is you don't see a lot. You see what you can see on TV, but you miss some of the body language stuff. You miss some of kind of how the team responds to certain things. All you see on TV is what the camera shows. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the camera that you don't really see, and I think that's kind of what you can kind of determine and see, where the team is at mentally in that situation.
We'll send him a new link and see if that helps. No, keep going.
We're trying.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to comment on anything he was saying because it was just in and out. I couldn't really hear much of it.
Right, I figured that. I was trying to. I asked the question so I could kind of see what he was saying, and I was trying to go, and I was hoping that it would catch up, but it just didn't. It never caught up.
He has a little bit of a lag to him. We'll see.
And if it doesn't work, we can just try to get him on again on Wednesday or something, right?
I mean, he doesn't have anything to do until the Orioles start up again. All right, send him a new link. We will see, boys.
Sorry, thank you all. Thank you for your patience, staying with us on this. We got a lot. We got some great baseball talk. We're gonna get it there for you. We're gonna get it there, and if not, then you'll have to hear me and Jared talk about it until Jay comes on. But I mean, he was talking about Riley Cooper, and he's talking about how his ability to pitch and what he did on the mound. The numbers don't show, kind of the whole story for him. And I think
the game that he actually had, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of times in baseball, right? Like you can look at a pitcher's line and be like, oh man, this guy gave up a bunch of runs, but then if you don't watch the game, you don't see like, oh well, he actually threw really well. Call went here or there, a couple bloops and a walk or something, whatever happened, and the game can kind of get out of hand. Sometimes if you're not paying attention, you don't really understand that part of it.
All right, yeah, he's back in.
All right, third time's the charm, I think.
Let's give it a shot. Let's
There we go.
go for two, but sometimes
Three's a company.
He's a pitcher. That's what he likes.
I like to be 0-2.
Hey, we got it. Let's go, Ben. I appreciate your
Always.
patience.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm just glad I'm figuring some of this stuff. I'm not real good with this technology stuff, so I'm kind of proud of him. Normally, my wife is here or my son's here to help me out, but I'm doing this all by myself. So it's a good night.
I love it.
It's a good night.
I love it. Listen, I know you're probably up in the woods somewhere, and so you just gotta figure out how to navigate with nature. So we're glad you're here with us.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So
That's right. Yeah.
We're talking about Brody, and I know you had already answered this question a little bit, but it kind of broke up. But when you face a guy like that, who's got that much that kind of stuff, and is able to walk 8 guys, but also get out of those jams, like how hard is that? One, offensively is very hard to hit, but how do you repeat your delivery? How do you get more consistent with that type of stuff? Or is that something that experience is going to help? Because I know he's a two-sport guy. You're a two-sport guy. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, to me, I'm a little bit surprised for one thing. He's such a good athlete. You would think that he could figure out a way to repeat his delivery a little bit more than what he does, right? So that's a little bit of a surprise. Now, having said that, the kid only threw 25 innings as a freshman last year. He went to summer ball this past summer. In his very first start, his elbow got sore and he got shut down for the rest of the summer. Then he comes back and he goes to football. And so if you think about it, the kid's only got 28 college innings under his belt right now. He's very new to this pitching thing. He pitched a little bit in high school. But, kids from Iowa, their high school programs is played in the middle of the summer. They don't have a bunch of travel ball and all those kind of things. So he's very new to pitching in a lot of ways. I think he figures it out. I think he's just going to take some mound time, some experience to figure it out. Now, last year he walked more than he had innings pitched. So I think he had 25 innings of pitching last year. He walked 27 or 28. That was a concern of mine. But in his first start this year, he was perfect. Like he went 5 innings, faced 15 batters, 15 up, 15 down. So maybe I thought he had turned a corner. Maybe they thought he did too, but it wasn't quite the same against LSU. But one thing you can't deny is the arm strength. He's got something obviously you cannot teach. You can't teach 101. And so he's a good enough athlete. I think he figures it out. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Do you see Iowa maybe, making some noise in the Big Ten? I talked to Jay a little bit earlier today, and he said that Iowa's got, a chance to win the Big Ten with some of the arms they got and the guys they got in the lineup.
Yeah, I think so. I like their lineup. They got a couple guys in that lineup that are very physical. Obviously, Maryland was the class of the Big Ten last year. Rutgers is supposed to be up there, but D1 baseball has Maryland, Iowa, and Rutgers is NCAA tournament team. So I think they're a tournament team. I think they got a shot to win the Big Ten. I think a lot's going to ride on Brody Breck, right? Can he be a Saturday night guy for him? Can he be in that weekend rotation to give him a chance to win every time out? If he figures it out and throws strikes, I think they're definitely a regional team. I think they can win the Big Ten.
Speaking of rotation, outside of Riley Cooper, Paul Skeens, tough first, which this is, it as a starting pitcher. 34 pitches in the first inning. Didn't really feel as sharp as he has been the first outing. And then all of a sudden, he goes 6 innings, strikes out 11, and put that first inning behind him. How hard is that to do one, and what did you see from him facing his first little bit of adversity this year early in the season?
Yeah, not uncommon. I mean, you guys know this. I mean, it used to be and still is. If you're going to get a starting pitcher, a lot of times, if you're going to get a horse, you better get him in the first inning, because once he gets his rhythm going, I always felt like the first inning was the toughest one for me, just because I learned, it took me a while, but what you had in that bullpen warming up did not always translate to the game mound. And I left that bullpen mound sometimes before games going, they in trouble tonight. Like, I got my A game tonight, and I'm in the shower in the third inning, and then I left that bullpen before going, man, y'all heat the shower up because it's going to be a short night for me. And you turn around in the 8th inning and you're still pitching. And so it's just a warm-up down there. But the first innings are always very difficult, trying to get your rhythm, trying to get the umpire strike zone. You're facing the best hitters on the other team right out of the chute. And so you're trying to figure some things out. It was good to see Paul struggle a little bit in the first inning. He wasn't quite as sharp. His command wasn't quite as good. But, man, after the first inning, he figured it out, and it was Friday night lights out after that. I mean, he got after it after that. So that's what a real ace does. If you're going to get him, you better get him early.
Offensively, LSU is their lineup has had a lot of hype behind it. It has a lot of publicity going into the season. You know what you're going to get with Dylan Cruz. Tommy White's just now kind of trying to get comfortable after the shoulder deal. They had Trey Morgan in left field. You had Jared Jones at first base. A lot of these guys have had some moments. On Saturday, they didn't put it together, but on Sunday, they responded in a big way. What did you see from the offense, and what did you like to see from that rebound they had from Saturday to Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've not seen this LSU team at its best yet. I mean, Tommy Tanks gets hurt after one at-bat on last Friday night, and he doesn't play again, until now he's DHing. So we hadn't seen this team the way we want to see it yet. We know Trey Morgan ran in the wall out in left field. He had to miss a game, and so they've been out of sorts in some ways. I just thought they were out of sorts on Saturday for whatever reason. They swung it pretty good on Friday night, but I don't know. I think they got flustered a little bit. It was good to see them struggle in some ways. You never like to see a team lose, but it was a wake-up call in some ways, is that we're pretty good. But look, when you're number one, and you guys know this, when you're number one team in the country, you got a big bullseye on your chest every time you go out there. You're going to get everybody's A game every time you go out there. So you got to answer the bell. It was good to see them bounce back like they did yesterday. Dylan Cruz proved yesterday and really all year long so far why he is arguably the best player in the country, could very well be the number one pick in the country. Wyatt Langford over at Florida may have something to say about that. Chase Dolander over at Tennessee could have something to say about that. But Dylan Cruz is a star. I mean, he's a star. He swings it well. I mean, you guys probably saw it yesterday, but he was 5 for 5 and then went 5 for 6. And I'm not talking about cheapies. I mean, he hit 2 balls. I don't know what the velo off the bat was, the exit velocity, but it was 110 or above on 2 or 3 of them, just line drives off the wall. So it's special when you see Dylan. Good to see Joe Bear. 25 pounds he's lost. He's in much better shape this year. He said his bat feels quicker. His body feels better. He got really serious about what he was doing. This is his draft year. And so he wants to make some noise. He had some big noise yesterday, too. Jared Jones continues to impress me like he does, y'all. Look, they list that kid at 6'4". It ain't 6'4". Like I'm telling you, I'm looking at him eye to eye. It's 6'5", 6'6" all day long. It's 250. It's a quicker bat than what I expected to see, and it kind of reminds me of you guys. It's a physical team, right? Like I love Paul to death, and I've said this on the air 100 times. But I felt like there for a while, Paul was telling the recruiting coordinators, listen, don't recruit anybody bigger than me. It's got to be 5'5" or less. And so This is like the most physical LSU team I've seen in a long time. Like, there's some real dudes out there that can bang it around. And that Fry kid is really big. I mean, Jarrett Jones is impressive at the plate. Tommy Tanks looks like a beer league softball dude. Like, he can swing it, you know. Now he's scuffling a little bit, right? He's missed some time. You can tell he's jumping at the ball. He's pressing, and you know he had 27 homers. Everybody's talking about him a lot, so he's wanting to get out of the gate quick like he did last year. He just needs to slow it down a little bit. The good news, and you guys know all about this, when you got protection in the lineup, and all these guys are protected this year between Dugas at the top and of course Trey Morgan and Dylan Cruz and Tommy Tanks and Jarrett Jones. You can't just key on one person, so they got protection in this lineup. They're going to see some pitches.
So, Ben, you bring up the protection that they have in the lineup and how deep the lineup is. I think the one thing that, for me, that stuck out the opening weekend was how well they were able to string together at bat after at bat of just being a tough out. Now, obviously, they had the bump in the road. They didn't play very well against a very good arm on Saturday. Did you see any of the same traits throughout the weekend about how well they were actually able to just grind out at bats over and over again and almost seemingly kind of tire out the other team's pitching staff until they got what they wanted at the plate?
I can't really hear Jared, but I heard bits and pieces about what he was saying. But I think I got what he said, about grinding out at bats. I mean, I think LSU's done a pretty good job of that this year. I think their swing decisions have to get better. As we know, when you get to conference play, it ramps up about 2 notches on the pitchers. The pitchers get much better. I'm a little bit concerned. LSU striking out a good bit so far this year. That concerns me a little bit because, when Chase Dolander comes to town and Beam and Burns with Tennessee and Texas A&M dudes, it gets very difficult on the weekends in the SEC. That is a concern of mine. What is also a concern of mine is, can you generate runs when you're not banging it, right? LSU not stealing a lot of bases this year. Didn't steal many bases last year. Dead last in the league in stolen bases last year. We only got 2 bags this year. When that offense is off a little bit, can you manufacture a run, right? Can you steal a base when you need to get in scoring position? That's a concern for me, to play a little bit of small ball from time to time. LSU's going to bang it. There's no doubt they're going to bang it. And when they're on like they were yesterday, they're the best team in the country. When you run up against Chase Dolander, how do you scratch out 2 or 3 runs? How do you beat a guy like that? So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But I think this team's going to continue to get better. Obviously, Dylan Cruz has got to be really good. Jordan Thompson at the bottom's got to be really good. Napolt's got to be good. So it's going to have to be top to bottom for LSU to get back to Omaha. There's no doubt about it. But listen, guys, compared to where they've been the last 2 or 3 years with options, both on the mound and options on the bench, I love where LSU is right now because it's a very talented team. We all know it's got to come together, right? I mean, Tennessee team last year was probably the best team I'd ever seen commentating baseball. Like, it was the can't miss, going to win the national championship. They don't make it out of their super regional. Ole Miss was the very last team to get in the NCAA tournament last year. There's a lot of people jumping up and down and go, Ole Miss shouldn't be in. There's no way they suck. They shouldn't be in the NCAA tournament. Well, they go win the national championship last year. So baseball is a different kind of game, and you guys know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I want to stay on LSU for a little bit before we go to the SEC because we know how deep the SEC is, and obviously they had some big time performances, and I want to get your opinion on it. LSU plays tomorrow. They play Texas tomorrow in Austin. What do you want to see from them tomorrow before they start going to it? Because the SEC season is starting to get closer and closer, and you would like for them before that opening series at A&M, you want them to feel like they're kind of hitting on all cylinders and they've kind of gotten comfortable at the plate. What do you want to see from the team tomorrow in Texas? It's their first real competition, top to bottom team that can really compete with them with the talent.
Yeah, this is not a neutral site like it was, this at the Round Rock this week. And you go into Austin there and you play at Dish Falk Field. That's a tough place to win. It'll be a nice crowd there, obviously, tomorrow night. Texas is not quite the team they have been the last 2 or 3 years, but they still have some big-time pieces, and they're going to get better. I think the biggest thing for me, Thatcher Hurd, right? I think it's a huge outing for him. He didn't look great against Southern last Tuesday. I think he's supposed to start tomorrow, what I heard through the grapevine. And so I'm looking at him to see if he commands the strike zone. Big-time stuff. I mean, we saw him up to 97 against Southern, but he kind of sprayed it. He had too many walks. the ball was all over the place. He's got to lock it in and get going too, you know. And so I want to see how LSU responds in this type of environment. I'm sure Texas is going to throw, one of their real dudes at LSU, and we'll see how LSU can respond to that. I think they got a lot of confidence on what they did yesterday at the plate, but I think the good thing about it is Thatcher Hurd's got to go out there and pitch well. The other thing is Christian Little, who's been outstanding for me. He didn't even throw this weekend.
Right.
So you got him backing up Thatcher Hurd. So again, we got options this year that we hadn't had in the past. Christian Little's been outstanding so far, and so I think LSU's got plenty of arms left in the tank for Texas. But I'm really focused on Thatcher Hurd and his command of the strike zone.
So LSU is obviously the consensus number one team in the country. Even after a slip up to Iowa, they're still number one team. But the SEC as a whole is super deep, right? Obviously, being number one doesn't really mean anything now. It only matters at the end of the season in Omaha. But you have Tennessee, you have Mississippi State, you have Vanderbilt, you have Ole Miss. I can go down a list on all these teams that are very hyped up. Going through the weekend, going through the SEC, Tennessee started the season with they lost a series of opening season. They come back, they sweep Dayton this weekend. What have you seen throughout the SEC on some teams, and what teams have surprised you and what teams have kind of disappointed you already first 2 weekends of the season?
Well, look, the surprise team, Alabama, I know they were ranked early, but they backed it up. They're 8-0. Brad Bohanon's got them playing some ball. They're the only team in the West that's undefeated right now. South Carolina, I tell you what, go look at their home runs. I don't know how they're doing it, but they played like 7 or 8 games. They got 26 bombs, guys. It's like, wow, what's going on over there, And they're 8-0. They're the only undefeated team in the East. So those are kind of the surprise teams for me. I was a little bit surprised Tennessee dropped 2 or 3 opening weekend. Ole Miss seems to be a team again. They played hosted Maryland, who is a ranked team, won the Big Ten, hosted a regional last year. They got some dudes on their team, and Ole Miss dropped Friday night, but then won Saturday and Sunday against Maryland. I tell you, Florida. Look out for Florida. Caglione. Y'all might have saw Jack Caglione.
I was about to ask you about him.
Yeah, that's scary. He can get on the mound and throw 100, and he had 6 homers last week. And so yeah, he's a real dude too. As you know, Florida got nicked up last year. They lost two of their 3 weekend rotation guys. They're getting their guys back healthy again. It's a big time offense. Waltrip transferred from Southern Miss. Southern Miss's aces over there he'd be their Friday night guy now. They got a real team in Florida, so I expect Florida to be there when the dust settles. Vanderbilt's going to have a better team than what they had last year, no doubt in my mind. There's enough there with Vandy. Enrique Bradfield is a special player, and they got a little bit of depth there, and so they're going to be solid. Arkansas will be, a top 5, top 10 team. Look who LSU starts off with A&M, top 10 team. Then they get Arkansas. Then they get Tennessee. That's your first 3 games in conference, or first 3 series, I should say. So there are no breaks like it used to be years and years ago. Everybody can play now. And so, but look, I've always said it's a good thing. Yes, it is a mental and physical grind in the SEC, that 30-game grind. But it only prepares you for the postseason because as a player and as a coach, you're not going to see anything in postseason that you hadn't seen in that 30-game schedule in the SEC. So at the end of the day, while it's difficult to navigate through it, it does make you feel good knowing that going into postseason play.
Ben, I appreciate your time and your insight. One more question before I let you go, right? You talk about the SEC. Everybody talks about SEC football and how good and how deep SEC football is. I think baseball, top to bottom, that's their best sport as far as, how deep is the league, right? The top teams are really good, but the bottom teams are almost as good as the top teams. The margin of the gap between them is not by a lot. You came in the SEC and you were at LSU in 1989. You kind of were on the come up of LSU and really SEC baseball. What is it like now to sit back and commentate and see it as a fan's perspective on how much baseball, college baseball in particular, has grown and how good the SEC has become?
Yeah, I sit up there in some ballparks and I'm just in amazement of the ballparks, right? How much, the facilities now are like big league facilities now. You walk around LSU, Ole Miss, you go to Mississippi State. Vanderbilt's big upgrades all around. Alabama's got a new ballpark. It's crazy, the facility upgrades. That's what the amazing thing is to me. And I was kind of at the very beginning of the SEC beginning to grow. And, if we had 4,000 or 5,000 fans, it was a big night. Right? I mean, now it's almost like every ballpark you go to, there's 4,000 or 5,000 people there, and of course at LSU and Ole Miss and Mississippi State, there's a lot more than that. So that's amazement to me is that the facility upgrade that's out there. I mean, we're pulling big league pitching coaches now back to college baseball. What does that tell you about the SEC?
Right.
I mean, Wes Johnson was not only in the big leagues with Minnesota, he was coaching a first-place team in July in the big leagues, and yet he comes to LSU in the middle of the season. So that kind of tells you where the SEC is right now. And I'll tell you one more thing. In the preseason, there's so many polls out there, but 11 of the 14 SEC teams were ranked in some poll during the preseason. That's how stout the SEC is from top to bottom. And there are no more weekends off. Missouri can even beat you. I mean, Missouri's got some dudes too. They can beat you if you don't show up on any given weekend. So it's a tough conference. It's the best conference in baseball. It's the best conference in football. And as they say, it just means more.
It just means more.
Coach, think about the SEC for a second. Whenever you look at what happened with Tennessee over the weekend, does that mean anything to you? Not even LSU, but where the SEC is going with the transfer portal, where you see them add a guy back, and you see Vitello get suspended for a weekend, and then they bring both of the guys back. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts were on kind of how the transfer portal is working and how this is going to all play out going in the future.
Yeah, Maui Ahuna, I think is the kid's name. He was like the number one. Him and Tommy Tanks were both the number one transfer portal guys out there. Ahuna comes from Kansas, I believe it was, shortstop. Everybody wanted him. And I just read a little bit about, maybe the recruiting process happened maybe a little bit sooner than what it should have. But I feel like that's where we are. It's like I watch these coaches in basketball shake hands with the opposing team after the game, and it's almost like they're going down the line going, hey, nice job, you look good as a purple and gold this year. Nice job, you look good as a purple and gold this year. And I'm not saying Kim Mulkey's doing that because I love her to death, but almost like she shakes her hand and she grabs my head and goes, boy, you're a hell of a player, and you're going to look good purple and gold next year. And so, yeah. So that's what it almost seems like to me sometimes. So, look, it's hard for me. I don't totally agree with it. I get it. It's where we are in college game now. But, man, I just feel for the coaches because the coaches are having to recruit their next incoming classes, but they're also trying to continue to recruit the kids they have on their roster because they just know that I got to keep these kids, and if I don't, they're going to take their ball and go somewhere else. And so it's a difficult time to be a coach right now. It's hard to build teams right now and to be able to count on a guy like I knew when Mikie Mahtook came to LSU, he was going to be there 3 years, right? Mitchell's going to be there 3 years. I can plan on that, but I can't plan anymore because these kids now, man, and I really feel for the mid-majors because if some of these kids blow up in the mid-majors, man, they coming to get you. Like that, the big boys are coming to get you. And so it's very difficult for those coaches to be able to recruit and coach, but it's where we are, man. Like it or not, it's where we are. It's kind of the haves and have-nots right now,
Circling back to LSU and what you saw over the weekend and obviously through the first 2 weeks of the season, if you had to pinpoint for you one thing that you feel is the biggest question for them moving forward, what would you say that is?
I tell you what, we hadn't talked about yet. Nobody's talking about it. Defense. Last year, LSU fielded 963. They were the worst team in the SEC. And I don't mind saying it. It was the worst LSU defense I have ever seen in 30-something years. That's how bad the defense was for LSU last year, especially in the middle infield. LSU's only made 2 errors this year. I'm watching that really close. They're second in the SEC right now in fielding percentages, fielding 991. So that's a big part for me. I think LSU's going to hit. I think LSU's going to pitch. The question is, can they make the routine plays and not give away games like they did 5 or 6 times last year? So I would circle defense, being able to make those routine plays. Gavin Dugas, I've been watching, right? I mean, ever since I remember him his freshman year, he's played left field. Then when I heard he was going to play second base this year, I went, oh, no. It's like, what are we doing? But he had a couple really nice plays on the backhand side yesterday. He looked really good. Dylan Cruz is an elite center field defender out there. Some other guys look good. Tip of the cap to Jordan Thompson. I've been tough on Jordan the last couple of years because, look, my man was tackling some balls at shortstop last year. Like, it was like, I didn't want to I'm just going to knock it down and throw you out because I don't know if I can catch it, right? Well, he looks different. He looks different to me this year. Like he's got his chest stuck out a little bit now. He's got a little bounce in his step. Like he looks like a dude that's confident right now. I'm happy for him. He's worked so hard, and Jay loves him. Jay said, look, Jay's on record saying I think he's going to be one of the better defending shortstops, not only in the SEC, but in the entire country. And he's been that good so far for LSU. So that's the big thing I'm watching from the Tigers is can they defend at a high level?
Yeah, and look, Jordan came on the show last week, I think, or maybe 2 weeks ago, and you know he kind of won me over. He won us over based off what he said. Same things as you said. He's worked really hard to put himself in this position, and adversity kind of helps motivate you to outperform what people think. And so I think he's gonna got a chip on his shoulder, which is good. Now LSU's going to find out real soon. Tomorrow they're going to face the best competition they faced all year, and defense is going to be as important as ever as tomorrow night because you can't give them extra bases. Ben, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sticking with us through the connectivity issues, and I can't wait to talk. Can't wait to talk with you more throughout the season with as the Tigers move along.
Yeah, man. I always enjoy hanging with you guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Anytime.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, take care.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, got it working. It's all these things always go.
Listen, we got it. It took us a little time.
There we go.
Took us a little time, but we got it. And
I got scared there. I got scared there when he said he couldn't hear me. I was like, oh no.
I thought so too. I was like, oh, that's not good. And look, we figured it out. Lloyd producing back there.
Yeah.
He did it.
Sweating dick.
Like Lloyd just pulling the strings back there. I see you working, Lloyd.
That's right. Thank you.
I see you working.
Maybe pass it up the chain.
Yeah, and I think Ben talked a little bit about everything we saw. You know, like he was there in person, but I think that he really hit on some of the things that you kind of saw on TV. But I think what he said was important was, hey, just because they lost that game on Saturday, the way they lost the game on Saturday, like I think the score didn't really indicate the way that they had played. Obviously, they didn't hit. They didn't drive in the guys. They had, I think he said they were 2 for 16 or something or one, whatever it was, with runners in scoring position on Saturday. And they gave up a bunch of runs offensively on the pitching side, but they didn't pitch as bad as the numbers said early on. And it's just one of those things. Sometimes you get snowballed and it just happens that way. And you just kind of have to chalk it up as baseball and move on. I think that's what they did. And you're going to see how good they are or how much they've moved on tomorrow because – Texas is really good. They're talented, and it's going to be fun to watch.
And I'm really glad that Ben brought up the point of, well, I asked the question because I didn't get a chance to watch the Saturday game, which was obviously against the guy that we all kind of wanted to see throw against him. And we've all thought all along, like, this team is going to be deep. They're going to be strong. They're going to be really good when they're playing well. But what happens when you run into a frontline arm? Can you still grind out those at-bats? What I saw from them in the first week and obviously throughout the rest of the tournament seemed like they did a really good job of being just tough outs. Now, they've had some strikeouts here and there too, but they did a really good job of being tough outs. That being a question for him is something that I'm going to keep an eye on going forward because those are how you beat the better teams. Those are how you beat the better arms. You're not going to sit up here and, like you said, against the Dollander guy, have 10-plus hits with 6 or 7 runs. You're going to have to manufacture runs some kind of way. You're going to have to grind out at bats. You're going to have to skyrocket his pitch count and try to get him out of there early. Can they continuously do that against good arms is what I want to look for as the season moves forward.
Speaking of good arms, I think Jay made a strategic decision this weekend not throwing Christian Little. I think he saved him to have him Tuesday just in case Thatcher is not able to go as long as deep. And maybe he's not anticipating, I'd imagine, the way he's handling Chase Shores on Sunday, or the way he said on Sunday, say, you're going to throw 2 innings and we're going to get you out. I would imagine that, Thatcher Hurd's not stretched out enough to be able to go 5, 6, 7 innings. So he's going to need another guy to go throw 3 or 4 innings. And so him not throwing Christian Little this weekend, to me, sets it up for a Thatcher Hurd, Christian Little piggyback type of start game.
Yep. I'm kind of expecting the same thing too. And, Ben talked about it as well. Like, Christian's been great to start the season. So it'll be really good to see kind of, once again, when the talent and the competition ratchets up a little bit, what is it going to look like in a game like this on a Tuesday night?
Lloyd, why are you giggling over there?
Because they're saying Jared sounded like he was in a bathtub, and that's exactly what I told him before we started. But think I got it fixed on this end a little bit. So
There we
our
go.
voice sounds good.
There we go.
Come on, Lloyd, clean me up.
I got.
Clean
I'm
me
trying to
up.
helping you out. I mean,
Get me out the tub, baby.
from the tub
Boy,
up to the penthouse.
at least you're clothed in the tub. That'd be a weird.
that would
maybe
get some
maybe we
views.
get some views. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, wait, whoa,
Hey.
hey. Only what, huh?
Just
Take it
over
easy.
100.
Just over 1,000 maybe at that point. Dylan Cruz obviously is the best, in my opinion. One of the is the best player in college baseball. SEC has. I mean,
Yeah.
you heard Ben talk about it. SEC's got 3 potential number 1 overall picks. I think I would say 4 potential number 1 overall picks, and you add Paul Skeens into the mix. Dylan Cruz goes 8 for 11 on the weekend, right? That's a 3-game series, has 11 at-bats. He probably had 14 or 15 plate appearances. He goes 8 for 11,
Right.
hits 3 doubles on Sunday, is the MVP. I think people are going to look at his numbers and say, oh, his average is high, but he's not hitting for he doesn't have a bunch of homers. I think it's a better sign that he's driving the ball in the gaps right now and getting doubles than hitting a bunch of homers early on. Like, the homers are going to come, right?
Hey, look, I'm right there with you, especially in a year like this. Like, we all know that this is his draft year. For him to come out and be able to stay within himself right now and not basically chase the power numbers and chase trying to put up the crazy numbers in a year like this, I know they're coming, and they come in bunches when they do come. But to see him doing this out the gate and still hitting balls really hard, like not getting cheap hits, hitting balls really hard and not hitting homers yet is a great sign to me right now. But it also shows why we think he's so damn good.
Yeah, and if people are going to be hard on Tommy White right now, listen, dude, he's played really 3 games as a DH. He's only had really 3 games. He had 1 at-bat to start the season, and now he's only had 3 games under his belt. He's going to get going. He's going to get hot. I don't think people are kind of jumping the gun on him right now because they saw, he had 27 homers last year as a freshman. That's what we want to see. This man just dislocated his shoulder. He got in the lineup a week later. Give him some time.
And I think, too, like, I think he talked about it, too. I think he said when we had him on that he talked about a big part of where he was going to decide to go was him getting the opportunity and the chance to compete to play in the field every day. Being that he started the season at the third base spot, I would imagine that means he probably won that spot throughout the fall and early in the spring. So he's probably used to or had gotten used to having his at-bats after being in games. So whether you like it or not, when you miss a week and then now all of a sudden you're basically back to the DH role right now, that may take him a little time to kind of get comfortable there again. So I wouldn't put too much into that stock on what you've seen from him so far.
I'm excited to watch the game tomorrow. The only concern I have about watching the game is on the Longhorn Network, so I don't know how to watch that. Do you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you got to be like in Texas.
No, it's gonna be after Cagenomics stream.
But so who produces the Longhorn Network? Is it just Texas, or is there like a network that, because ESPN is partners with the SEC network?
Somebody in the chat, help us out here.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat.
Does anybody know? Is it SEC? I mean, is it ESPN?
No, because from what I understand, it is that the Longhorn Network's separate from, like, it's their own entity, right? And so if you even tried to go to SEC Network Plus,
It was like Tiger Vision was.
Ronnie Rance pulled a real fast one on everybody and started doing pay-per-view for LSU baseball and LSU football. But I think there's going to be some workaround, I would imagine, with LSU baseball. Look, we all want to watch it, and if LSU fans all put their collective heads together, the word will get out rather quickly of how
I think what Lloyd's trying to say. What Lloyd's trying to say.
You have to stream it illegally.
Somebody paid for it. Somebody paid for it so Lloyd can stream it illegally, so he didn't have to come off his wallet to buy it. Is what he's saying.
You know what Lloyd is trying to say.
I'm gonna look and see. Maybe you can buy a 1-game pass for, like, if there's a game that you can buy individually. Maybe that's the case. I'm not paying for the Longhorn Network, and I just want to watch 1 game.
Unless I'll go watch 2006
Why not?
Texas. I mean, I'll watch Vince Young play again.
Or you can go rewatch the 2009 World Series if you want.
Oh, that's on YouTube also.
That is on YouTube. Yeah, you don't need that.
Or you can just watch you could just watch the intro to the show. You get pretty much everything you need to see.
Yeah. Jay's coming on.
Some good clips over there.
That's it. Jay's coming on in 28 minutes. Let's go around the different leagues and talk more sports. We went through the Heineken headlines. And, to start the show, we have a lot of baseball. We're going to have a lot more baseball conversation. But let's give a little bit of a break from the LSU baseball and SEC baseball and college baseball and talk about other stuff, right? LSU football is making news again, right? Not for anything that's happened bad, but our friend Bo Lowry leaves to go to the Denver Broncos. I thought Bo was a slam dunk hire. I thought that was an unbelievable move for LSU football. I think it was a great move for Brian Kelly. And it only lasted 1 year, unfortunately. You saw what happened with New Orleans Saints this year with injuries and people not being on the field. And then you come to here and you see Bo Lowry, and obviously outside of like some freak injuries, it seemed like the team was pretty healthy. And Bo kind of changed the culture of the training room and how you do things. He's here for 1 year. He goes to Denver. He gets poached by Sean Payton, who he worked underneath in New Orleans. Sean Payton's words about Bo Lowry were so complimentary, which I can attest to because I am a friend of Bo's. I've been around Bo. He is the nicest guy in the world, and he's very knowledgeable. So he obviously goes to Denver, right? Sevyn Banks, who I didn't know had declared for the draft, is apparently declared for the draft a long time ago, but nobody had talked about it. Everybody just assumed he was coming back. That's another hit to the depth of the defensive backfield. But he hadn't played in a while, and I think he's just trying to get out of there and just see what he can do. And then Michael Doherty, I think I said that right, transfers out. He comes in, enrolls early in January. He's going to be a freshman this year. He says, I'm out. He's going. He hits a transfer portal before he even gets on the field. So LSU football has some news to go, but I don't think any of it. I think the biggest part of that I just said is Bo Lowry leaving.
Yeah, dude, I would agree, man. Sean Payton's talked about how important he's been to their program in the past. LSU was able to get him in there for a year, and it seemingly you saw a much healthier team of guys being able to be on the field week in and week out again. I do think that's something that's probably going to hurt LSU in a way. Hopefully they can find someone to replace that and kind of be able to step up and do the same. But I do think that's probably going to be a huge addition to the Denver Broncos organization. I talked to Bo last night, congratulated him. He seemed very, very, very happy and excited. His family's going to meet him there after the summer. So good luck to him in that situation. But, yeah, same thing. The Michael Doherty situation was seemingly weird, right? He just showed up. Now he's just out of there real quick, but that's the world we live in today. And, you know, guys like Ben kind of alluded to earlier kind of have the ability to do whatever they want, kind of whenever they want. And there's a quick vision of how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like the Sevyn Banks thing. I don't think him enrolling or entering the draft. I don't think that's going to be as detrimental to the team. You know, you don't know what you're going to get from a true freshman who enrolled early. He was a pretty big recruit. You would think that he was somebody that could help. He transfers out. No matter how talented you are, you have to want to be here. So if he didn't want to be here, then, you know, it's okay for him to go. Like, we haven't seen him on the field. He may be an All-American. He may not be. We don't know.
Like you won't get the top end of whatever he is if he doesn't want to be here. Right. So the decision may be actually to work out the best for LSU.
Exactly. And I think, like I said, I think the biggest loss out of the trio for football is Bo Lowry. I have confidence in what Brian Kelly and who he hires to replace Bo because of the emphasis that he puts on the training facility and the health and safety of his players and the ability to get guys recovered and to be able to have guys on the field. So him going out and getting Bo spoke volumes on what he believes, on how he believes in that. And then, you know, I'd imagine he's going to go out and get some other guys. Moving on to LSU, the women's basketball team, right? They finished their regular season at home on Sunday, senior night. They beat, was it Ole Miss? Is that who they played? I think that's who they played, Ole Miss. They beat Ole Miss at home. They end the season with one loss. They're the number 2 seed going to the SEC tournament. Happy for the girls. Happy for Kim Mulkey. Happy for the women's basketball program. You saw they had another sellout. They had a packed PMAC, and you saw Shaq sitting there with his daughter is a very highly recruit coming in, hopefully going to LSU. He was obviously there talking to Kim Mulkey, talking to the staff. So I think Kim's created that buzz, and it's just, I need to continue to give the women's basketball team their flowers because what they've done is pretty impressive. They have one loss on the season, and I think they've primed themselves for a big run in the postseason.
Mississippi State,
not Ole Miss. Mississippi State. I knew it was a Mississippi school.
What's the difference?
Whatever.
Yeah. No, the women's basketball team was drawing eyes. I think did they not have the biggest attendance they've had this past? I
think so. It was like almost 15,000. Maybe it was 15,000.
No, I think it was 15,000 plus. Yeah. I think it was 15,000 plus. So yeah, I mean, they end out the regular season with one loss. They're going to go into the postseason now, and this is what all the work that they've done goes into this moment and these opportunities right here, because these are really what's going to lay the groundwork for what they're able to do going forward here. Because this is still early in the Kim Mulkey era.
Yeah, no, I agree. Obviously they're still not getting. They're not projected as a 1 seed right now in the NCAA tournament. They're projected as a 2 seed. I think if they make it to the finals of the SEC tournament, that may change. If they go ahead, definitely if they beat South Carolina in the SEC tournament, that will change. But,
right.
I think if you're the 1 or 2 seed in the tournament, I don't think that really matters. You're not going to play the number 1 seed until you get to the Final Four anyway. So they've put themselves in a position to go out there and make a deep run. I think that it would be good for LSU and for obviously the future of that program to make a deep run. I'm excited. I mean, they have me tuning in to their basketball games, and I haven't, being honest, I haven't done that in the past. So they've won me over, and I think that's a credit to Kim and what she's done with the girls.
I think they'll really be doing it, though, when they get Lloyd to tune in. When they start getting Lloyd in that thing every day, then you know it's something.
I was about to say, I've been in that number, Coach, and I was going to say that they tied for the best record since, I believe, the Simone Augustus Sylvia Fowles year with the 26-1 record. Is that right?
That was what they ended the season.
Yeah, so tied for the best record that LSU's ever had as a women's basketball team, and then Angel Reese tied. So I've been watching Sylvia Fowles for the most double-doubles in LSU year. So thank you, Jared, for setting me up for that. I appreciate it.
She's had double-double every game but one, right?
Same thing that Sylvia Fowles did. That's the product you're putting on the court. Of course I'm going to be there.
There you go. I'm proud of you. Yeah. I'm proud of you. Speaking of women's basketball, so I really it kind of goes hand-in-hand with my next topic. Women's basketball, postseason women's basketball is great to bet on. You can win some money in March Madness with women's basketball. What else is great to bet on is college baseball. And I don't know if you haven't really followed our show, if you just started tuning into our show, last year we started the show January 17th of 2022. All right, we go right into to the baseball season, and gambling became a thing last fall. They're trying to figure out this college baseball stuff, and we won some money on betting on college baseball. Now they've kind of gotten a little sharper probably with some of the lines, and there's more opportunity to bet. But if this weekend and last weekend was any indication on how the season's going to go as far as betting college baseball, I'm very excited because I did very well, and I'm looking forward to progressing.
Did you bet on more than LSU?
No. I bet on the Round Rock Classic a little bit, not on a bunch of the other games. I bet on Iowa after the Sam Houston loss, so against LSU, not necessarily to win, but whatever. And I bet on the over run total on Sunday.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. A loss is what that sounded like. Bet on whatever. I don't know.
No. I didn't lose. No, I bet on Iowa not to necessarily win, but to score some runs because of coming out of the thing, and they did. And then I bet the over LSU on Sunday because of how bad they played offensively on Saturday.
This I will give you credit for. Mikey does have – I wish he would have focused more on it last year because whenever Major League Baseball was going on, he was looking at matchups and people going from East to West Coast and what pitchers were throwing, and he has history with some of these guys. And then he just kind of stopped seeing them into the group chat and made everybody make less money. But Mikey does have a good eye for these things. I wouldn't trust him in football. I wouldn't trust him in college football. But college baseball and professional baseball, we got the World Baseball Classic coming up as well. These are all things where Mikey thrives, but then he doesn't want to put the work in.
I'd like to step in there. My college my college football record actually wasn't bad this year. It was my NFL record that stunk. I would win money on the weekends, and I would lose money on Saturdays, and I would lose the money on the Sunday. So just to put a little bit of a
caveat.
Yeah. My college football bets weren't terrible. My NFL bets, not great.
Where you thrived, though, is in
baseball.
Major League Baseball and college baseball. You started, once you realized that you weren't coming back to the show, you're like, all right, I'll put bets out then. And then that's when we were thriving. You were putting it down on pen and paper. We had all this going, and I want to see that if college baseball is going to be a thing where you can bet on. They didn't have a line out on, I believe it was Saturday for LSU baseball, so I didn't even watch. But if they continue to put those kind of things out where you can continually bet on them over the weekend, and it's certainly going to be a thing for SEC play, this is where we need both of you to step up. Like, don't look at me. I'll just bet on LSU regardless. But if y'all have some insider information and start looking at these things,
well, speaking of,
there's a real opportunity for us to make some money.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard Lloyd's short version of who he found as his Chat GPT when it comes to baseball betting.
Yeah, I have a source.
Speaking of Major League Baseball, though, Manny Machado inks a $350 million deal. He is going to stay in San Diego. He came out earlier and said that he was going to opt out and become a free agent because there's a lot of money out there. San Diego Padres says, no, you're not. We're going to just give you a bunch of money, and you're going to stay here for the next 11 years. I don't know where they're getting all of their money, but I love the fact that there are multiple teams out here that are just dishing out all this money because it's putting pressure on some of these other teams to either spend a whole bunch or just look bad doing it. And now the only issue that I don't have any issue with them spending money. The issue that I have is maybe some of these teams are kind of middle market teams, and they say, oh, we'll spend $100 million, $150 million on a payroll. Maybe they're like, well, shit, these teams are spending $350 million as their payroll. There's no way we can compete with that, and we don't want to go up to $250 million, so we're just going to stink and not spend a lot of money on our team, which I think that would be a detriment to baseball, but I'm hoping it goes the opposite direction.
So when the money, look, listen, the money's coming out there and it's getting quote unquote spent 100%, right? I do think a lot of these teams are looking at it. They're like, Machado signed an 11-year deal. He's been there for 3 or 4 years already. I do think that I would love to see the structure of that whole deal, because I truly don't believe that in year 11 he's going to be a San Diego Padre. I think he will have been shipped off somewhere else at that time. Maybe they're still eating some of the contract. The other team's getting them for less. And so for me, when I see these huge number deals, I think it's kind of, in a way, kind of creating more of a gap in the league, meaning like the teams that are willing to say, okay, I'll do it, knowing that on the back end of this thing, we're going to get rid of this guy anyway. We're probably going to eat a little bit of this at the same time, but hopefully in the front end of it, we've gotten what we've wanted. Maybe we've won some championships. Maybe we've been running to some deep playoff runs, and then we'll get these guys out of here. So I don't know if I believe that it's truly creating more competition or whatever in the league. I kind of think right now that it's creating a sense of, like you said, where maybe like somebody like the Pirates and stuff are looking at it like, well, we're not going to compete with that. We can't compete with that. Right. So we're not even going to try even more now, you know?
Well, I think what this is going to do is, because they've come out, the Padres have come out and said, hey, you know what? We traded for Juan Soto. We have Juan Soto. We are going to give him a contract, and it's going to be more than we gave Machado. They've already verbally come out and said that. And so they want to sign him to a long-term deal. So that way you're going to have him, you're going to have for Tatis, and you're going to have Machado all in a long time. I'm sure there's others on there too that have signed deals. But what that's going to do, and I think you're starting to hear it, is you're going to hear a lot of owners start talking about salary floors, which everybody says, oh, we need a salary floor. But what that also says is we need a strict salary cap, right? You're going to have all these teams spending over the luxury tax. Some of these smaller teams don't want it. I know Major League Baseball has been wanting a cap for a really long time. The Players Union does not want a cap. Tony Clark has come out and said that's definitely never going to happen. And so that's going to be the big bargaining chip over the next 5 years. Whenever the CBA expires, is, hey, how do we manage this? How do we do this? I think a floor would be really good for baseball, but I understand the owners aren't going to give you a floor without a cap. So I don't know how you fix that, but there definitely should be a minimum amount of money spent on teams.
Well, if there's a floor, I think a cap is probably a real chance that's going to happen. Yeah. I don't know how it's going to be, but I do think that's a real chance that it's going to happen. And I do think a floor is needed because the amount of money, even though it's going up right now, right, the minimum, the average salary in MLB would probably be way less than what people actually think it really is.
No doubt. I mean, the minimum's up to $750,000 now, right? So
right, but that's the minimum. That's what I'm saying.
Right,
yeah.
That's the minimum. Now, before that, it was $550,000, which is a lot of money but in the grand scheme of baseball, like, not everybody's making the $20 million contracts here. You have more people that have done it now because baseball is in a really good place talent-wise with young talent. But at some point, the teams can't be spending. You can't be Oakland A's and have a $40 million payroll.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the reason why I say I think the average salary of the league is probably a lot lower than what people think, is because, well, think about it logistically. You're on 3 years of the rookie contract unless you turn into some kind of superstar, right? Then you got 3 arbitration eligible years unless you turn into some kind of superstar. In those ARB eligible years, you're probably, I mean, Mikey, what would you say? Probably less than, for the majority of guys that are doing that, you're under like a $5 million contract, right? Like the vast majority of those guys are. Okay, so then we're talking about 3 years.
Especially before you get to your third year. Before you get to your third year.
What? Okay, exactly. And look, once again, I'm saying like guys that are just arbitration eligible, not like legit stars. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because now we're talking about anybody from year 1 through year 6 in the league are all making what, $5 million or less, and then besides the guys that are absolute superstars or guys that have gotten past that and gotten to true free agency. That tells me that I really feel like that number of what the average number is probably a lot smaller than what most people think.
Yeah, because you're looking at, if you look at the average, you take the guys who have the big contracts and the guys have, and you come to them. That average is going to go up because of how much money the top end guys are making, right? Like, hey, this guy's making $44 million a year, right? You have 3 or 4 guys that are doing that. Like, that's going to bring up the average salary, but they're only maybe 1% of Major League Baseball that has that amount of money, and the other 98% that are in the big leagues are significantly lower, but the average is going to go up. So the average doesn't really even give you a true sense of like how much the normal Major League Baseball player is getting paid, right? And so I get it. They've earned that money. I want them to continue to get paid. They should be paid as much as they want.
And think about it too in other sports, right? Like in baseball, you have, like I said, you have those minimum salary years, and then you have the arbitration eligible years. Well, in football and basketball, there is no arbitration eligible years in multiple years of that. They literally go almost straight to like an unrestricted free agent where the market's kind of open. Right. So it's a little different in baseball too, you know?
And I don't know, look, I'm not in the rooms anymore. Like we used to have all these meetings when I was in the union, I was playing the big leagues, and you'd hear what they wanted to talk about, and you'd hear what the agenda was leading up to the next CBA. Now they have some time, but you still have meetings every year, and you still have conversations about what they want in baseball. And I know not having a salary cap is a big thing, right? But also taking away some of the arbitration years, taking away sometime how long it takes to get to arbitration or free agency, especially with so many young guys. Like I think if you can play 4 years in the big leagues and get to free agency, I think that's a huge difference as opposed to getting to 6 years. Now maybe to get that you have to say, okay, well, we'll give you a cap. You know, maybe, but there's going to have to be some give and take. I'm not in those rooms. I'm not privy to those conversations right now, but you know, I think that would be good for baseball if they were able to say, you know what, listen, the lifespan of your career is not very long. It's very hard to get to the money, the guaranteed money in baseball. When you get to it, it's all guaranteed, but it's hard to get there. So let's lower this thing. You go 1 year of rookie minimum, and then your next year you're arbitration eligible, and you have 2 years of arbitration or 3 years of arbitration, and then now your 4th year you're a free agent. So maybe 1 year as a rookie deal, and that once you get to 2 years, your second year you're done, and you get to go to arbitration. So I don't know how they're going to do that, but I think that's necessary.
I'd like to see it 2 years of rookie minimum, 2 years of arbitration eligible, or a year of arbitration eligible. Either after 4 years or after 5 years, you're able to go into true free agency.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because we all know anybody can have a flash in the pan type of year, right? So it'd be really hard to watch a rookie come in, have a flash in the pan year, and all of a sudden now he's making crazy money. He never reaches that kind of a season again.
Yeah. I think
that'd be a tough one to swallow for the team side of it being 1 year in the arbitration eligible.
Yeah, I think 2 is good. I think if you have 2 solid years, then you go to arbitration. You have 2 years of arbitration, then you go to become a free agent. I understand the longevity part of it. It takes some time to kind of build that, but you know it's just too hard to get to money here.
Yeah.
Oh, you looked at me like he was here.
No, I just had a question. It was going to be a little bit of a pivot still in baseball. It was going to go back to LSU baseball just for a second because I'm trying to put together a little bit of a poll.
Okay.
If you had to put together 1, 2, 3, or 4 pitchers that may be starting tomorrow against Texas, who would you put on the list?
Okay. Jay, you want to go first?
I'd like to see. Yeah, I'd like.
You're talking about start?
Gonna throw.
Yeah. I think we know who's starting.
Well, Jay Johnson didn't answer, so I wanted to get it out the way before he got there.
We'll ask him today.
Well, he refused already.
Yeah.
Who to who?
Well, not to you.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay.
Nah. I'm pretty sure it's Thatcher on the mound, right? I'm pretty sure piggybacking that will probably be Christian Little, and it's probably going to be dictated by either pitch count and or trouble that Thatcher may get into.
Is it
I'd like to see Ty Floyd be able.
Is a better question how many pitchers you see versus Texas?
That's probably a better question. No, I mean, I don't know.
It looks like we know who the starter is.
I think the starter's either going to be Christian. It's going to be Thatcher Hurd. I think it is. But if it's not, it's going to be Christian Little. I think that's the only two options that they're going to. Huh?
I can pick two.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could do that. You can put that as a poll.
I got a strong feeling it's still going to be Thatcher. Just my guess.
I do too. I mean, I think that you can't just. They believe in this kid, and they know how talented he is, and he had one start.
Right.
I think that you go out there, and I think you have Christian Little ready to go if he gets into trouble.
Yeah.
My only thought on that would be is like how many times do you want to put him in? Obviously, the first one wasn't a pressure situation, but you didn't see the way. I don't know if you liked the way he responded. I don't know.
No. I'll state it again. Once again, we can't go. How many times are you going to put him there? We're not talking about a kid that it was a high school senior last year. He was in the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever, and threw well for the time that he was healthy. Right, so there is a little bit of a track record there. I think you want to see him get back to doing the things he was doing, and I don't necessarily mean strikeouts and or stuff like that, like traditional stuff you think about. They probably want to see if the breaking ball is as sharp as it was last year, if it's producing the same type of numbers, if the velo is staying where it is. And I think if they can do that and figure out how to put that in the zone, then that's going to dictate the type of innings he throws over just the traditional ERA, strikeout, walk, those type of numbers.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think the big thing about starting pitching really in general is, not is he able to locate his breaking stuff, or it's how consistently can he locate his fastball and be able to work ahead and get ahead of guys and then allow the other stuff to work. I think that if Thatcher comes out in the first inning and he's throwing strikes and he's locating that fastball, I think that's going to tell you all you need to know about how he feels and what you're going to see from him on the mound. That's the biggest thing.
Right.
And that's what Ben was talking about when we were talking to him. He said when you have a horse on the mound and you have a guy who's really good, you have to be able to get to him early in the game so he can't get comfortable. Once he settles in and gets comfortable, it's very hard to get him uncomfortable again, right? And that's kind of what Thatcher Hurd never really got comfortable last week, and he just couldn't really find it, and they got him out the game. But Paul Skeens was uncomfortable in the first inning. He was able to escape that inning with one run given up, and then the next inning he throws 7 pitches, and at that point after that I was like, okay, he's back. You're done. You had your shot to get to him, and you didn't get to him. And I think that's what I want to see from Thatcher tomorrow is, hey, get off to a good start early on. Locate your fastball, throw strikes, get ahead of these guys, and then finish them off with your good break and stuff. But throwing strikes is the most important thing.
Yep, 100%.
And that's that was part. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it goes to the same question. Is like that's what I was kind of asking: is how long is the leash for him? Because you don't see him have the Paul Skeens leash wherever he throws 30 some odd pitches in the first. And if Thatcher Hurd does that, go ahead.
No, bro, I think the leash is literally off of where his pitch count is right now. Look, you got to remember. They're still going to be in February. Like, it's still Black History Month, man. We got things we need to see you do. Nah, for real. Like, we got things we need to see you do. We can't go off of, like, this is not a must-win game for them tomorrow. As much as we would love to see them win, as much as it's a bigger game, as much as there's better competition and it's maybe hyped up, it's still not a must-win game for them tomorrow. So I think what you're going to see him do is them allow him to work in the threshold that they have already set for and then go from there, If he gets himself in trouble where he's throwing 35, 40 pitches, I'm pretty sure they don't want to see any of those guys doing that in the first inning. So he may come out in that situation. But that's just, that's where it's at.
Yeah, especially not being built up, to have a long stint in the game. Even if he's throwing really well, he's probably got a strict pitch count because at the end of the day, it's about building him up for the SEC and for the long run of the season. Not, hey, we need to win this game. We're going to throw 7 innings. I'm going to stretch you. I'm going to put a lot of stress on your arm whenever you probably don't need to. Jay's number one priority is making sure these guys are ready and healthy and hitting their stride once SEC play comes. And this is a big game for them. It's a road game. It's a true road game against a top-tier opponent that has a ton of history in college baseball that was very good last year. And it's going to be a good challenge for the team, especially going into the gauntlet that is the SEC. And it would be nice for them to win, but I think more importantly, it's a good
I just think people are so enamored by the LSU baseball team, and you even saw the reaction. You knew they weren't going to go undefeated throughout the year, but just whenever they play the way that you saw them play on Sunday versus Saturday, that's what people expect every year, but it's not ever every game this year. That's not what baseball is. Like, I know we keep saying that and harping on the fact that baseball is baseball. There's going to be times whenever you go through a certain stretch or something's going to happen, but they realize how loaded this team is, and they want to see you perform the best against your best competition.
Listen, very rarely in baseball do you see a team dominate all year and go out and win the World Series, right? Like, it's very hard to do.
Tennessee should be your test case.
Tennessee, LSU in 13 had single-digit losses, and everybody thought they were going to go and run through the World Series, and they didn't lose it. I mean, they didn't win it, and they lost. I think, in 2009, we were very good. We were a number one team in the country going in. We ended the season with 17 losses. That's not a lot. We had 15 going into the 15 going into the postseason, so we only lost one in the SEC tournament and then once to Texas in the 3-game series, but 17 losses. There's teams that had single-digit losses since that time and that haven't won it. So I think that once you go through some of this adversity, and I think you learn.
You want a little bit of it.
You definitely want it, and you also want to see this. You absolutely, 100% you need it, right? Like this Iowa game, they're going to learn a lot from it. They're going to learn a lot from this Texas game because they're on the road and they're playing in a big environment. But I think when you look at these great teams, you have to see the longevity. How are they winning, and what are they doing through the course of the season, right? Are they winning series? Like, hey, you can win. If you win 2 out of 3 every weekend, you're going to be where you need to be at the end of the season, right? Outside of our non-conference schedule in 2009, even in our non-conference schedule, we lost to Illinois. They lost 2 series all year. They took 2 out of 3 from us at home. Illinois did, and then we lost at home to Tennessee. We lost 2 out of 3 to Tennessee at home, and Tennessee was the last place team in the East at the time, maybe in the entire SEC. They were not very good. We lost to them. We only swept one SEC conference, and that was Auburn. We went 20-10 in conference. We were co-champs.
Chad Jones,
right? And so but when you see the season, we only lost 2 games in a row one time all year that year. And so I'm not saying that that's what you need to do, but that's when you look at the end of the year and you look at the longevity of the season, you look at what they did throughout the season. To me, that says a lot. Not necessarily the wins and losses. Like going through some of that adversity is going to help you in the postseason.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think there's 2 things that's really important, or that's very, very, very. When you find good teams, I think you see a lot of these teams do these 2 things. One, you don't really lose. You don't really see too many back-to-back losses. And then the second one is, are you winning series? Because let's face it, at the end of the year, what does the postseason come down to after you get out of the conference tournament? Can you win your regional? Well, chances are you're probably going to be winning 2 out of 3 games to get through a regional. Can you win your super regional? That's a 2 out of 3 or a best of 3 series. Can you win in your bracket? Probably something like a series field. And can you win the championship series, which is a 3-game series, right? So winning series really matters when it comes to actually getting through postseason scenarios. And when you see good teams is, can they stay away from back-to-back losses, and can they win series?
Yep, and I think as you saw a little bit this weekend, right? Obviously, the competition is going to ramp up, and it wasn't what they're going to see in the SEC. But you lose to Iowa, who had a Friday night guy, or who has their ace is, has the ability and has
and time out before you keep going to. I guess I can add a third thing in there is the last thing is, can you stay away from sweeps?
Yeah,
that's literally the last thing, right? Like you say, you lose Friday and Saturday night on the road if you have to go to Tennessee. Well, staying away from the sweep on a Sunday is super important.
Right.
Super, super, super important.
Sneaking out a win when you're not playing your best.
Yeah.
No doubt. And I think you saw Iowa guy they threw on Saturday has the stuff and the ability that you're going to see from Friday and Saturday night guys in the SEC, right? So then, obviously the matchup on Sunday wasn't what the SEC is going to be. Sam Houston can hit, right? But to be able to rebound and be able to put yourself in a position and just come out the gates firing after a big loss, I think that's a good step forward for the team. And I think that they're going to be able to kind of continue that momentum against Texas, and then leading into the SEC, because they start the SEC on the road at A&M.
Yep.
So it's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, we talked about Jake coming on at 7:30. He's running a few minutes late. They had practice.
Try and get a shower.
So,
in. A little orange juice.
He's we got to respect his time.
Before we get there, which, yes, great announcement. That is something that he just texted me. Well, not texted me, emailed me. It'd be awesome if I got his cell phone number. But before we get there.
Smart guy to not give it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
There's a reason why you don't have it.
I know. Shit. I'm in the friend zone.
Yeah.
It's okay. I was going to say, looking forward to obviously Texas and LSU play tomorrow. If you had to guess the line, what's the spread? What would you think it would be tomorrow? LSU midweek, obviously you're not going to see Skeens, so you start trying to see what they're going to do if they do what Iowa did, where they save a hoss. Just
LSU
to be able
minus 1.5.
I would take that in a heartbeat.
What is it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought you knew it.
I was going to say LSU minus 2.
Let's see.
I'll do that while y'all continue.
I mean, I thought you're literally asking me this question.
No, I didn't have the line. I wanted to see what y'all's thoughts were already, because I don't even know if it's going to be out yet.
Well, I mean, I think it should be out. I mean, I think this would be a game that they would have out early. It's a day before. It's kind of it's a matchup that people can see. Like, they've seen these teams, they can watch them on TV.
That was part of my bigger point. Is why is it so hard to watch these things? Like,
well, it's a regional deal, right? Baseball, even in the big leagues, is a regional sport. It's a national sport, but it's a regional. It's televised regionally, and so people around here aren't going to be watching Texas until they get in the SEC.
I know, but just put it on ESPN Plus.
But Texas has the Longhorn Network. They're monetizing the Longhorn name. That's what they want to do. So it's hard. I get it, but these sharps and the bookies and all. I mean, the people who are in there crunching numbers, like, they have access to all that. I'd imagine they have the ability to watch all these guys and have their AIs and algorithms and the whole whatever stuff that they're doing. These guys aren't. You don't have humans watching TV and crunching numbers by hand on pen and paper.
They do. In Vegas, 100%.
They have computers. They have algorithms. Yes, they do. They may be looking at the final numbers and going through that by manually, but they're not compiling the numbers by themselves. You're naive to think that, and you know better than that.
I watched an entire documentary on. There's still an old. They rented out not rented out. They bought an entire office space with cubicles, and there's guys that are still 65, 70 years old that do it themselves.
I understand there's a few guys that maybe, but they aren't getting all of the numbers for all of college baseball. They are getting technology.
They're not working for the big corporations.
And if that's the case, there's probably 1% are doing that.
Well, there's a reason. And that's the reason why the lines aren't out, because I just
Are
checked
they?
2 separate sports books.
They're not out.
Not out yet.
What sports book did you check?
I checked Caesars and I checked Barstool Sportsbook.
Check FanDuel.
I don't have a FanDuel account.
Does FanDuel usually put out the lines for
That's what I'm
college
saying.
baseball?
I feel like the Caesars has been all over college baseball, and so has Barstool Sports. They made a huge push last year to be college baseball. They have the.
And I'd imagine the line's gonna come out tomorrow morning. Then
that's what I'm thinking. But that's why I asked the question to see what y'all were thinking before it came out, as opposed to getting to, get actual verification of what it would be. I feel like y'all would have a good handle on it if you were going to be handicappers. Do you think 1.5?
I would think 1.5. I think
minus 2.
I think that's a good.
What do you think for run line?
Wow, baseball didn't even have. It just says college baseball. Oh, there we go. Never mind.
No, there's one game out. The Flying Hawaiians are out there if you want to bet on them.
Nope.
And the
FanDuel
Aztecs.
doesn't have it. What were you saying? What were you saying? What was next?
What do y'all think the over/under would be, like the run total?
I got it at 9.5. I'd have it at 9.5 in this one.
I would take the over.
I think it's gonna be 11.5.
I do too.
I think that would be closer. It's a midweek game. I don't think that. I mean, obviously LSU's deep on the mound, but I think midweek's usually a little bit more higher scoring.
Hey, yeah, but you don't, man. Look, I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like a 6-5 game seems pretty reasonable. That's 11 runs. That's not too much.
This game means a lot to Texas too, though.
No doubt. But LSU's not traveling. which I think is a big thing. They're already there. They've already been in Austin for 2 days. So, like, they're not on a bus getting there. So they've kind of like settled in. They've played 3 games out there. You know, obviously you're going to play a true road game, but no, I think 11.5 is a good line, and I think 1.5 is good. He is in. All right, 30 seconds. We'll be right back.
Oh, he's in full regalia, too. Fresh off the field.
You're watching Mik'd Up. I want to give a shout out to, like I said, we talk about us getting new partners, new sponsorships all the time. We have a new sponsor, and you've probably seen them on the top left corner in the little spinner logo. EFCO Solutions. Our friends on at EFCO, they're out of Lafayette. They're a civil construction company. They specialize in new multi-family construction. Right? If you don't know what civil construction is, it's okay. Probably a lot of people don't understand it. They basically get the land ready to be built vertically, right? I'm giving you a little bit of a construction lesson here. I don't know much about it. I've learned it on the go, right? They specialize in site drainage, site utilities, earthworks, site cleaning, house pads, ponds, demo work, and hurricane cleanup. So they do anything that involves dirt, basically, or the earth.
Good.
And a lot of that gets done before. It has to be done before you are building whatever development you are trying to build. So our friends at EFCO have been fans of the show. They are really, really good people. They're down there in
make
Lafayette.
myself look older. Now we're trying to go the other way.
You do know me. Mitch is from New Iberia. I'll consider that Lafayette's 337 area code.
There you go.
337 area code. They are unbelievable people. They do a very, very, very good job, and they are committed to growing and being the best at what they do. So I just want to give a shout out to our friends at EFCO. I know that they listen. Appreciate you guys. We are going to be great partnerships. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We've been talking LSU baseball all day. We had Ben McDonald in the first hour at 6:15-ish because we had some connectivity issues. No connectivity issues over here. We have Coach Jay Johnson for Jay Johnson Mondays. He's been so gracious to give us his time. They just get off the practice field. Coach, thank you for coming on. We're not going to keep you too long. I know it's been a long day.
Yeah, all good. It's a good day. Just like we're at home, actually. Players got some study hall in, got a lift in, and got a practice in. So we've been moving here.
How far is Round Rock from Austin?
You know, I had my head in my computer the whole time, but it didn't seem like we were on the bus. Like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It was pretty quick.
A little suburb. Let's
great scheduling by you, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Round Rock Classic a little bit before we start talking about looking ahead to Texas. Obviously, y'all go in there. You play Kansas State Friday, Iowa on Saturday, Sam Houston on Sunday. You get the first loss of the season out of the way because, let's be real, 56-0 probably wasn't going to happen. So you get the first loss. You get your first little taste of adversity. I felt like the guys responded really well. What did you see from the weekend? What are you proud of? What do you kind of see, hey, we need to get better at this?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you look at each day, Friday, the good was, you know, Paul Skeens again. Actually was in a little bit of trouble in the first inning, and that's what true aces do is they can wiggle their way out of trouble when they get into it. And so getting out of the first inning, only giving up one. I think we scored one in the second. Hit some balls hard. It was very much like last Friday at home. Very windy, wind blowing in, big field. The home run wasn't really a part of last Friday's game. So found a way to just stay with it, scratch out 7 runs. Ty Floyd was awesome again out of the bullpen. So it was a good win against the Power 5 team. Saturday, you know, I mean, there's 2 things that happened. Iowa played really well. I thought we saw 2 real pitchers. You know, the Brody Brecht. It was a fastball up to 101 with a 92 mile an hour slider. I got to be honest, I hadn't seen that, and kind of preparing for the game and watching video. The closest I could make a comparison to of a college pitcher that I'd seen like that was Steven Strasburg, and that was like 14 years ago. And so, Yeah, he's impressive. We executed part of our plan as far as running the pitch count up, and we're somewhat disciplined. It's just when the slider's 92 miles an hour and you're starting early because it's a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, that makes hitting hard. And we just couldn't quite cash in there.
Especially
Offensively,
when
they
the guy
jumped on us.
throws at your head one pitch, or you don't really know where it's going to go, and then dots up. He's effectively wild, is what people like to call it, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the most impressive inning for him was the first inning. Like, we went walk, infield hit, walk. And then he went strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. And I went back and watched that. I thought we chased one pitch out of the zone. And then there just was no other pitch to actually just not even get a hit, but move the ball forward and get a guy in on. So you kind of tip your hat to him at that point. And then they got some offensive momentum going, and you got to give credit to Iowa. Rick Heller's a really good coach, and they were prepared to play. And so you kind of have to swallow that one. And then the next day, it wasn't really anything, but hey, here's an opportunity to respond to a loss or a failure. And that's going to be an important part of our competitive character going forward. And we're going to lose another game, unfortunately, at some point in time. I don't operate that way.
Right.
I kind of the old Augie Garrido style of there's no reason we can't win every game mindset. But baseball shows you it's probably going to happen. And I thought it showed the competitive character of the team. It was a very complete performance from the mound defensively and offensively against a really good team. I mean, that team will be an NCAA tournament team. I think they'll win their conference, and it'll be a good win up on the board, at the end of the season for us.
Jared, you got one?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
I got you.
Okay, yeah. Coach, for you talked about the team executing a part of the plan on Saturday, particularly. As a hitting guy, how big of a stressor is it for you to be able to convey a message to the team that being able to, I guess, execute your plan is probably one of the most important things you can do as a hitter?
It's all we talk about. I mean, we put a lot of work in from day one on building a really solid foundation, visually, mechanically, approach-wise, and we stay on them pretty good. And then, the game doesn't change a whole lot as far as what we're trying to do, but we try to get them exactly what they need to do each game and lay it out really, really clearly. And you know what? For 7 games, we've been pretty good. I actually look at Saturday and thought it's thrown 101 miles an hour with a 92 mile an hour slider, and then a really good bullpen guy. The guy that came out of the bullpen did a nice job also to slow us down, and we still scored 4 runs. So if you pitch well and you defend well, which we didn't pitch well in that game, but if you do that, you still have a chance to win that game. So there's some optimism going forward. I think we've got some answers on a few things, which I'm excited about. But I think, like you said, Jared, like that's all we drive home. I want clarity for our hitters when they step in the box as far as what we're trying to do. And these guys have executed it pretty good through 7 games. It took a pretty talented guy and then another good bullpen guy to slow us down.
Now, before we move on to the pitching, because I do have some questions on that side, I want to point out, and we talked a little bit about that this morning, but Jared Jones, he's a freshman. He's been in the lineup since day one. He's put up some, he looks impressive. He's had some great at-bats. Saturday, as a true freshman, playing in a big matchup against an elite opponent, going 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. And on his 5th at-bat, look, I've been there, right? On his 5th at-bat, he gets down 1-2, fights it off, flies out to right field, doesn't have to go into the dugout with 5 punchies. Goes the next day, multi-hit game, home run, doesn't hang his head. How important is that, especially from a young guy, to be able to go and rebound? Because the mental part of baseball is such a debilitating thing. For him to be able to recover and do that from day to day as a true freshman, how important was that and how good was that to see?
That was phenomenal. And kind of like, when we came back from break, I felt like he could be a key piece of this thing, but just like these other guys, he had to earn his at-bats. Like right. he earned his at-bats. And the weekend before the season, we had a really competitive scrimmage on Friday night where Paul was throwing, Cooper was throwing, Grant Taylor was actually the night he got hurt. It was very competitive, and he had a little bit of a rough night that night. And I brought him into the office the next morning and just said, hey, like, you're doing fine. this is a good test of how are you going to respond. Let's get back in the approach. And then he homered off Thatcher Hurd off the hitter's eyes first at bat. And then had 3 more hits. And I was like, there's something to this dude more than just talent. And so I really wasn't all that surprised on Sunday. I paid it no mind because I'd actually seen it 2 weeks earlier. But you're right, to move the ball forward in that last at bat for a sacrifice fly and immediately respond. I think it shows his talent, but it shows his character too, and it's why he's going to be a staple in this lineup for as long as he's here.
Going back to the pitching staff, right? Obviously on Saturday, Riley Cooper kind of got hit around. I think the numbers don't really show. I don't think he pitched as bad as the actual final line shows. But they gave up some runs. The game kind of got out of hand. What do you think? What would you like to see them do better? Be able to kind of slow the damage down and not kind of have that snowball effect?
Yeah, I think that day it was pretty simple, actually. We got in position to put some of their hitters away, and we didn't do it. That first inning where they scored 3, there was 2 outs, 2 strikes, and nobody on base and no runs in.
Yeah.
And, we didn't finish the inning until we were down from the start. And then I think it was the 3rd, something didn't go well, and then, the count got away from him, and he kind of started to pull it back together and minimize damage, but we were chasing runs against really talented staff at that point. So, I think if I could summarize Saturday, we did not maybe execute or what we call kill pitches or finish pitches as well as we want to or as well as we have in the other games. I do think Will Helmer's performance was huge. Obviously, it allowed us to line up pitching the way that we wanted to for last night's game and still put us in a pretty decent spot for tomorrow. So I wanted to note that was a really good performance by him.
Jay?
Coach, for this being the first real road game of the season, I think one of the bigger surprises we've all kind of seen so far is the number of young guys you have playing, especially offensively. Did you look at this as a huge test, being able to go on the road in a hostile environment right now, to be able to kind of see how those guys, those younger kids, are able to come in and maybe perform in this situation?
Yeah, I think you guys know this as really good players is, the best coach you're ever going to have in your playing time and experience. And so this is another experience that these guys will be able to draw from. I think, knowing we're going to go to, good road environments in the SEC, at A&M, at South Carolina, at Georgia, at Auburn, I think it's pretty clear that we're going to have to get comfortable playing on the road and winning on the road, which last year's team did a really good job of. And so I thought getting a true road game, hostile environment, should help us for 2 or 3 weeks down the line when we're at Texas A&M. And so I thought, knowing we were going to Round Rock, knowing that we would draw a good crowd at Texas tomorrow night, and excited to have a bunch of our fans here too. A bunch of them have told me they're staying over, and we're really appreciative of that. Should be a good matchup.
As far as tomorrow night goes, obviously you've come out and said that you're not saying who's starting, who's not starting. Thatcher Hurd started last Tuesday. Christian Little did not throw this weekend. I'd imagine based off of Thatcher not being at full go early on in the spring, I'd imagine that you see both guys. Is that kind of the plan? I know you don't want to announce the starter yet, but I'd imagine you see a few guys tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, we feel great about where we were at and where we came out of this tournament. I think 2 things were really good about last night's game. Number 1 was Garrett Edwards' performance. I mean, not only did he pitch well and go 3 1/3 innings, but he did it on 36 pitches. And so him through that with a lot of strikes. Griffin Herring got 4 outs and did it on 15 pitches. So that back part of the game went really fast and with low pitch counts, and helped us to keep, a couple of our better guys out of the ball game. And so the only positive about Saturday was we were down. And with our team, that doesn't mean we're gonna punt the game because we can score so quickly. So I think we got some good clarity of maybe where guys fit a little bit better, and then the way both games played out, being a little bit of large scores, it puts us in a pretty good position pitching-wise for tomorrow.
staying on that game and staying on the pitching staff, Chase Shore, you came out before the game and you said, hey, Chase is going to get through the lineup one time, and then we're going to move on. What went into that decision? What went into that strategy? Obviously he's a young guy, and I know you want to put him in the best situation for him, but talk me through that game plan and that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, we played the day game both Friday and Saturday, and, I go back to the hotel, turn my laundry in, take a shower, flip on the next game. We're playing,
right.
That team, one of those teams the next day. And I mean, those guys rake. I mean, they had 31 hits and a bunch of extra base hits the last 2 days. They scored like 20 against McNeese on Tuesday. And they just, what I thought and what Coach Wes Johnson thought is these guys, they're absolutely legit at hitting mistakes.
Yeah.
And we didn't want them to look at anybody a second time around. And so that's kind of what went into that decision. And, as far as Chase goes, I couldn't be happier with his performance. I mean, some good hitters, but the way his velocity, he can really move the ball too. He might give up a hit, but it's hard to get him elevated and get him, in the air and out of the park. And yesterday the ball was flying, so that was really important. So he gave us 2 really good innings. I think he hit 100 3 times, and he was in the strike zone the whole time. He didn't lose the strike zone at all. And then Bryce came out and gave us a good inning in the third, completely different, and then lost command a little bit. But Garrett helped us out. Griffin was great, and Blake Money was good. So it was just a plan for the whole staff, and it had more to do with Sam Houston than anything else.
Coach, when you talk about Wes Johnson, how quickly has he been able to acclimate into? Obviously, he's coached in college baseball before, but coming from the Minnesota Twins and being able to get a whole new staff basically on his hands, how quickly do you feel like he's been able to acclimate and kind of figure out these guys, basically on a test by case basis?
Yeah, he's the best. I think the preparation thing is a big deal for me, and he's elite at it. Helps us take it to another level. Whether that's understanding our own guys, what their strengths are and where they'll fit in the game or against certain types of hitters, and then how to execute pitch plans. And I mean it's been great working with him, and does a great job of getting those guys prepared. And he's super competitive. And Josh Jordan the same way in recruiting. It's like they're perfect fits for this staff and this team. Like they have a lot of pride in what they do, and they put the work into the players, and the players get to benefit, and we get to benefit on game day from that. So he's doing a great job.
Jay,
Coach, can you talk about Tommy White's start? Obviously, the injury happens; he misses a week. Can you talk about where he is right now and things that you feel that he needs to do to basically get back on track to what we all know what's in the that he can do, and where you expect him to be at the end of this thing?
Yeah, I think I have admiration for the toughness piece of it as far as wanting to get back in there. That's the first thing that kind of stands out. Super competitive. That's the only way you get back from an injury like that quickly. I think physically he's fine. We started growing a little bit today, which was good. I think that'll be a slow burn back to full health from a throwing standpoint. But, as far as the at-bats, I made a huge bat on Friday. Dylan led off with a hit, no surprise there.
Yeah.
And then he immediately went down 0-2. Yeah, how about that deal? And then went 0-2 in the count, and then fought his way back and, got a 2-strike hit to kind of keep that moving, and that's when we went ahead 3-1. Tough day on Saturday for a lineup bat. And then yesterday, we kind of itemized some things we wanted him to do in the game, and, not as good as probably he wants to do. I actually saw some improvement in that. And so what I think is the more at-bats he gets back into it here, the more comfortable he'll get, he'll be locked into what he needs to do to help us from a plan standpoint. And, I think it'll be in short order. He'll get back to being the quality hitter that he is. He's too good not to. And so there's a few controllable things that's part of that I'm excited about that we can keep working on. He'll be in good shape.
Another guy in the lineup that I want to kind of hit on is Jobert, right? Obviously, he put up 18 homers last year. His average wasn't I'm not a big average guy. I think that there's other ways that you can contribute as far as just because of, like, average isn't the tell-all on the offensive side of the baseball, but he made some adjustments in the offseason as far as the way his body is and how he's playing, especially defensively. He goes out on Sunday, hits 2 homers, looks really good doing it. What have you seen from him? What have you seen through his growth and maturation as a hitter?
Yeah, I think that's 2 good words to describe it, as just growth and maturation. I think, I'm very thankful for his contribution last year. Beating Florida 2 out of 3 and sweeping Vanderbilt, both on the road, those are a big deal for us, building the program, back to trying to get to the top. And, LSU is always a top program, but, those 2 have had a say in the last few games of the college baseball season a lot here over the last 12 to 15 years. So, win that series at Florida and sweep Vanderbilt, that was because of him, in his performance. So that just tells you the talent. But what I'm most proud of is just hey, this is what we need to do for you to be a better player for yourself and for our team. And it's literally got to improve your body, got to improve defensively, got to improve mindset, so we're not giving away at bats between the damage. And that's all he's done through 7 games. I mean, I'll look at even Tuesday at Southern, I think he was on base 4 or 5 times. And it's just, he can do damage, but his ability to move the offense with strike zone discipline and quality at bats between those homers, it's not taking away from his ability to drive the ball over the fence. So I think he's just becoming a more complete hitter, and it completely changes our team when he takes those quality at bats. We saw it last year. I just think you're going to see it on a more consistent basis this year. We challenged him with some things in terms of handling better pitching. He was gone to work. He deserves all the credit for the work that he's put in for that. So it's just the follow through is impressive to me. And you guys probably played with guys like this that have super talent. When they get super determined and they have a really good plan and they go execute it, then you see the results, and that's what's happened.
Coach, I appreciate your time. Only a couple more questions. I know you've had a very long day, but going into the game tomorrow, right? What do you want to see from the guys? What do you want? You're going into a hostile environment. You're going to a true road game. Defense and pitching always is something that you want on the road. You have confidence in being able to score the runs. What do you want to see from your guys tomorrow to be able to go in there? Obviously you want to win, but you want to leave that game saying, okay, we got better today one way or another. What do you want to see from the guys tomorrow?
Yeah, I think consistency in approach. And when I say approach, that's not just a hitting approach. That's just how we roll, so to speak. It's very clear, how we want to win games. I mean, we practice to it, we train to it, we prepare to it. And so it's not something they're not prepared for on game day. And so just staying within that and executing that, from the mound, defensively, offensively on the bases, and then from a competitive standpoint, and just from a mental maturity standpoint, I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's a great test, and I think these guys have that unique skill to rise to the challenge, and that doesn't mean playing above themselves. It just means doing what they're trained to do and ability to focus. And I just want to see that focus and discipline, because when they do that, you can see their talent.
Does not to harp on anything here, but does Tommy Tanks want to go head first, feet first? I saw him slide into home with the feet, and I saw him go back into first with the head. I mean, what are we doing here, Coach? If he needs a lesson, just let me know.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get what we call a dead man's lead at first base. I mean, yeah, and just if you just fell over on the base, you'd be safe.
We can take him to Blue Bayou, Coach. I know he hadn't been here for long, but we can get him down a water slide.
Yeah, and it was funny. That was a good read. I mean, we were in what we call a red, where you're going down contact, one out from third base, and then he barreled in there and slid feet first. For a second, I thought about a shoulder injury because he stuck right at the plate, and I was like, I hope his leg's okay. And, but man, if I was a catcher, I would not want to stand on the plate.
No, he does not look fun. You see the train coming through, you're I'm just gonna let you. I'm just gonna let you go.
Coming through.
I'm just gonna let you go.
I'm out.
Yeah.
How much can you attribute the type of the defensive performance you've gotten so far from the squad to the actual, I guess, performances you've gotten on the mound and how consistent the pitching has been through 7?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I think it's two things. I think I believe we needed to upgrade the pitching talent to compete at the highest possible level. We've done that. I think you see that when you see a guy like Paul take the mound, or Thatcher Hurd, or Christian or Chase Shores. Griffin Herring was 95 from the left side last night.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. So I think that's part of it. I think they have a really good plan of what they're trying to do and understanding how to execute pitches and get hitters out. And then they're getting supported defensively. And, it's no secret. We just weren't very good last year for a few different reasons. And, I actually don't think this started like this year. Like we've done some things differently in terms of how we prepared defensively for the season. But, I think we began fixing this, we'll call it in the middle of last year. It's led to, improvement this year. And I'm really proud of how those guys are playing. And it's kind of with some guys out of position a little bit too. So it's not a fluke, because different guys are doing it at different spots. Obviously, Jordan Thompson played phenomenal short. Brady and Alex, for the most part, are top well. Dylan is the best center fielder you could ask for. Gavin Dugas is fielding great at second base and make the routine play, making some diving plays. Trey at first has been great. He learned what a warning track is.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how is it Trey in left field? Yeah, you got to go through him a little bit. The wall doesn't creep up near as quick as it does in the outfield. I can promise you that.
Yeah, but hey, I gotta credit his toughness, because he literally couldn't swing the bat on Saturday, and then to come back that quickly on Sunday and put together quality at bats. And I really like seeing him come up with men on base, and he's such a professional hitter and do his deal. Big deal for our team.
Coach, last question before I let you go. Thank you again for joining us. I know it's been a long day, but going into the game tomorrow, we talked a little bit about it. What challenges does Texas pose to y'all tomorrow, and how do you kind of combat that?
Yeah, I think their position player group is new. Like, they lost a lot of guys off of the last. I mean, they won 90 games the last 2 years,
right.
And the only way you do that is like having a super old team, and that's what they had. A lot of guys moved on to professional baseball, but the talent is still there, and I think they're going to be really good as they get games under their belt. I think the athleticism is the first thing that jumps out. They'll want to put the ball on the carpet here. It's really slow with the bunting, and try to create pressure that way. So we're going to have to do a good job filling up the strike zone, eliminate 3 bases, handle the ball on bunts, control the running game, those types of things. If you get the leadoff guy out, then you don't have to worry about that stuff nearly as much. So that'll be an important part of it. Pitching-wise, I mean, they'll have a number of good arms that, probably aren't pitching on the weekend, only because A, they're in Texas, B, they just need a little more experience. So it's going to be a good challenge. I think it'll be very much like a SEC-type game and environment. That's exactly why we're doing it. And, we need to play a few road games just from an RPI standpoint with the home road and balance in the RPI. So every decision I make in scheduling is built on RPI, but this one also has a lot to do with getting prepared for what's ahead.
I mean, Texas is going to be in the SEC sooner rather than later now, especially after the 2024 announcement. So this will be a kind of a good measuring stick for those guys, too, over there at Texas, seeing how they stack up to the SEC and whatever. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm hoping that I don't have to pay for the Longhorn Network just to watch the one game, but I'll figure it out. I don't know how that works. We're going to be watching. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on the show, and good luck tomorrow.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
All right, Coach. See you. Thank you.
What a rock star. I mean, practice ends, gets to the hotel, jumps on.
Full gear.
Yeah, this man, I appreciate his generosity of his time to come on our show every Monday. I look, disclaimer, and I thought this Monday we weren't going to get him. Going in, when I was looking at the schedule, and I was like, man, they're going to be on the road. I know they're not coming back to Baton Rouge. They're going to stay in Austin. It's going to be tough because I know they're going to practice on Monday. They're not going to be off on this Monday. And when I talked to him this morning, he was like, look, we got practice 5 to 7. When's the latest I can come on? He tried to make it work, and he made it work, and I appreciate that. I know Jared appreciates that. I know Lloyd appreciates that because, you know,
100%.
he's Lloyd's kind of broken through the shell, and like you hear the little conversation they have before they get on.
I was about to say, I think he's actually grown fond of Lloyd peppering him a little bit every now and then. So I think he's kind of, wanting some of that interaction on Mondays.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna keep him on the street. I know he's gone, but look how great he looks. That's what my buddy literally texted me. He's like, I feel like you're breaking through. You've done this with a couple of coaches before. It's always a little rocky, but once you get in, it feels like you're in. So it feels like I'm there, coach.
No, and he gives us a lot of good information. We have a lot of good talk with him. I really want to talk to him about some of the decisions throughout the course of the game, the bunt that he had on Saturday when you felt like LSU was trying to – was it on Saturday? It was on Saturday, right?
No, we were here. So it was Friday.
Oh, it was Friday. It was Friday. That's right. But, obviously the time was limited, and I didn't want to push the envelope on that. I didn't want to take advantage of his generosity. So we'll ask him some of those questions as the season goes when he has more time and he's not on at 7:45 at night
got a game
before a game the next day. But we're in the OT, which Lloyd loves. Yeah. So let's get through the seggy so we can send everybody home.
That's what I told Jay whenever he emailed me, said we're going to be a little bit late. And I was like, Coach, I'll stay here until 12 if I need to. Like, we're going to be all good. And he was like, all right, give me 1 second. So we got it all settled up. Which segment do you want to go to first?
Your segment. Your segment. We're going to go to.
Why are you asking that question? You know what we go to first.
Because this is how I stall. Because I have to delete after the snafu we had with Ben McDonald. I deleted some of the things that I had already stored in here. I didn't know if it was a storage end on my end, so I had to take some of the videos out.
But you don't have to. Can we play that video?
Oh, absolutely.
It's still on here. I see. Right.
Oh no, it's still in the dock. I just have to pull it back into vMix.
Oh, put it in the queue.
Right.
Get it set up.
And so here it is. I have it here. My Doe's Eat Place, which we call
mistake of the day.
Mistake of the day.
I think the boys. Jay, we got to talk to you whenever you get in. We got to figure out a time that you're going to come in because I think this week's going to be the week that we have a little team lunch at Doe's.
It's supposed to be Wednesday, so if you could be there, that would be great. You're a big part of the show.
I've already told you I can't do anything.
That's what I mean. That's what we're gonna.
When these people are coming.
It is going to be a case by. It's going to be a day by day situation. We'll figure.
Lloyd's over here trying to put me on. Lloyd's trying to put me on the spot on the line. I can't do anything about that.
The Lloyd has no room to talk about punctuality. He's getting better.
Yeah, Lloyd.
Hey, he beat me here today.
That hurt.
And I got here super early. Even earlier than I normally get here, and he was here before.
Because he was, why? He was nervous as shit. He was like, hey, we got these 2 calls. I'm not putting this on me today. You're not putting this on me today.
And look, and I don't say this to take jabs at Lloyd. This is how he performs better. This is my coaching strategy.
This is actually what we need to do more. We just kind of keep putting that little
if you put the accountability on not just us 3, but with all the thousands of people that are watching us, every day.
Just under 1,000.
All of them watching us every day. If you put the accountability out there and everybody holds him accountable, he can't.
Chad was roasting me during the show for the Ben McDonald. And that
was on you.
Thank you. I have to wear these things.
But he fixed it. We fixed it. We got a really good interview with Ben.
We did.
Right,
and I do have my mistake of the day. And I mean, I feel like this is an obvious call with what's going on between whatever's going on in Alabama.
A little bit of awareness, huh?
Yeah, just some. What do we call it? Savvy sold separately. I don't think they got a lot going on over there. So my mistake of the day is over to good old Alabama, just trying their best to keep themselves in the spotlight. I guess this is Brandon Miller, who has just been he's been in a little bit of a
he's been in the news cycle.
A lot, and it's had something to do with being patted down, maybe. And so that's his intro in his first game back.
They say that's been his intro all year, but regardless.
That's probably a good day to change it.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's a little tough.
He should keep that one. I don't know.
Also, Nate Oates hasn't been very good in the post-game pressers.
Oh, he's getting bodied.
He's getting put in some positions where it's like kind of a no-win situation. Like, how do you answer that? And it's like the way he's answering it, people don't liking that. It's been tough road for Nate Oates and the boys over the last couple weeks. But look, they're still ranked number 1 in the country, and they've primed themselves, and it seems like they're going to kind of get past this, at least this season.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be gone. He's going to be in the NBA.
Well, they'll figure. It seems like
not Nate Oates.
but it seems like they're getting past it. But that's a good mistake of the day. That was a good one. I'm happy.
That was just
for you.
the all-time no feel of the moment. Like, let's skip this one for maybe just today.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they swung and missed there. I like that. Great mistake of the day.
All right, let's go curtain calls. Curtain calls are brought to you by our friends down at Assured Partners. These guys right here. I'm so I can do it.
Not you?
AKA me.
When are you going to put your name on that on sign?
Well, whenever the money's not coming out of my pocket, so it's coming out of Assured Partners' pocket. So,
or is it?
Yeah, I hope not. I hope my paychecks don't reflect that. But yeah, so these are our curtain calls. Obviously, we keep talking about splitting up the segments, but it seems like we just keep bringing it back.
Today was
we're
different.
We're working on it. We're working on it. 2 hours goes by pretty quick when you have a lot of fun, like we do. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
All right, we got mistakes. We got curtain calls. What's your curtain call?
My curtain call is to a man that I wish was still.
This is the second time you've put him on here.
I know.
He's deserved both of them.
He did respond to my DM, and I'm not going to say what he said, but he wouldn't mind being in Baton Rouge still. That's all I'll say. The man is a rebel and a tiger.
Hey, he's making the absolute most of his opportunity.
Exactly. He gets put in as a defense replacement in the last, the 8th inning? And every time he goes out here, it seems like this man is just a walking highlight reel. So he goes in the top of the 8th and is able to – he basically went full summer catch where he just snags one – over the wall,
towering fly
and this
ball
is
to
just
left
Bianca
center
doing
field.
Bianca
That's
things.
hit
Y'all said he's
well,
one of the best defenders you've ever seen at LSU, and I didn't know that he was this criminally underrated. Look, there's a kid on the slide above him going.
Has no idea.
Are we playing baseball here or
the
what?
The left fielder literally had no idea he's like, how the hell did you make that play?
And so just Bianco for continuing. He looks. There's no better moment than this with his. I mean, he looks like right after he goes over the wall, with him with no hat on the head, looks like he just caught a ball as a fan.
Here's my question, though. The catch is amazing. I've never made a play like that. This is it's a catch. I've never made that play.
You came close.
But here's my question, right? How is that not considered a home run? Right? Like, the ball's over the fence. You catch the ball over the fence, and then you fall over the fence. Like, and I'm not saying it's. That's just a question that I'm posing. Like, as a hitter, that's a home run. He doesn't technically bring it back. The ball technically brings him over the fence. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, in this one, when I see it as a man that's established on this side of the fence because he wasn't like airborne when he first caught it. I don't know if both feet were off the ground. I don't know. I could be wrong. But if one foot was somewhat still on the ground, then to me it's a catch. To me, it's not a homer because I feel like he was, here when he caught it as opposed to there.
Yeah.
You don't have to establish possession 2 feet in bounds.
2 feet in bounds. Regardless,
you don't have to. No.
Regardless, it was an unbelievable catch, and
he keeps showing out.
He keeps showing out. Keep making plays. Keep getting on SportsCenter top 10. Good. Look, you're 2 for 2 today. That was good for you. Jay, what's your curtain call?
My curtain call will be to, I think it was yesterday, the Lakers completing the biggest comeback of the season by a team this year, coming back from a 27-point deficit to win last night. Look, it's post-All-Star break. All these teams kind of start playing hard now and revving it up a little bit. To come back from almost being down by 30 and beating somebody, I don't care what team it is, that's unbelievable.
And I think teams are 0 and whatever, 0 and however many games it's been.
0 for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0 for the season on it, yeah.
Look how bad LeBron fucked up his ankle.
It doesn't feel good.
Looks terrible.
I actually did see something today where he might be out possibly
multiple weeks.
So Lloyd thinks he was faking it. He may be faking it. Who knows?
I don't think he's faking it. I just think that. I think the rolled ankle is a real thing, but I think that if he's out for a few weeks, obviously that's the thing. But it was just it's in line.
Great.
It's in line with the I can only see one eye type of thing, and this is a little different though. Ankle's a little bit more. You could play on it the day of is not as bad as the day after. So respect 27 points no matter who you are. It's a tough game, and I think I respect LeBron on the court. So. We're going to stay in that basketball, in the realm of basketball in the NBA, and I am going to give my curtain call. It's to Dame time. Dame time. Damian Lillard, if you're not an NBA fan, it doesn't matter. This is a
70?
feat in any sport that is impressive. He throws up 71 points.
Hey, 40 in the first half.
40 points in the first half, 31 in the second half. And this isn't I think this is not the first time he's throwing up 70 points.
He's had, I believe I don't know about 70,
but I know he's gotten the 60s before, right?
JJ Redick said he's had within this calendar year, he's had a 40-point game, a 50-point game, a 60-point game, and now a 70-burger.
Now he needs 80, 90, and 100.
And now you see, while LeBron dapped him up so hard at the All-Star game, he's like, "This is who I need on my team."
71 points, dude.
That's
a lot.
Filling it up.
That's a lot of points. And usually when he does it like this, and I don't know what his line is, but usually when he does it, he's super efficient. Like he doesn't miss. When he gets into this, he doesn't miss shots.
Wait, they said this 70-point game was the least amount of minutes played by anyone who scored 70+ in their career.
And I bet you the shooting percentage was probably one of the top. You know what I mean? In that stretch.
Yeah.
But that's my current call. Listen, we went way over. I appreciate y'all sticking with us. I appreciate Jay for coming on. I appreciate Ben sticking with us through the connectivity issues. But we'll be back here live.
I appreciate Lloyd's efforts.
Yeah, Lloyd did good
Jared.
today. Lloyd did good today. We'll be back here live 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, which will be the first day of March.
All of us.
Well, maybe all of us. If maybe in studio, but definitely Jay will be on here via video call.
Did you hear that, Jared? First day of
depending
March.
on the situation, maybe you're in the middle of moving. If you can't, obviously we understand. But Wednesday is Ask Eminem, Ask Mikey and Mitch Day. Put your questions. We're going to promote it. Whether Jay's here or not, we're still going to have it. I'd imagine that he's going to be able to be on the show, hopefully, and hopefully he's in the studio. If not, we'll figure this thing out. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all for continuing to tune in. And please like and subscribe and share it. Tell a friend about our show because we are trying to do these things for you and trying to grow for you. But we'll, again, live 6 to 8 p.m. and then again on Friday from 1 to 3. And if you don't like watching us and you like listening to us, we're anywhere you get your pods. So we appreciate it. You're watching Mik'd Up. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back here live on Wednesday. Peace.
Goodbye. Thank you for all your help, everyone in the chat. Seriously.
Oh.